Chapter 909. However, after flying for some distance, these shattered flames actually gathered together and reformed into Wang Yan's appearance. However, his face was pale, without a trace of blood, and his body was covered with over a dozen sword wounds. Fresh blood flowed from them, a horrible sight to behold. "Let's go." Wang Yan did not dare to stay any longer. He turned into a streak of fire and rushed out of the canyon. Compared to Wang Yan, the corpse puppet was in a worse state. Although he had used all his means, one of his arms was still chopped off. He screamed as he ran out of the canyon. Boom, boom. Inside the canyon, the giant ape continued to clash with the array. This giant ape's strength was indeed shocking. Every time it punched out, a large amount of sword chi would be shattered. Even if there were a few sword chi that landed on the giant ape's body, it would only leave a shallow mark. This giant ape has at least 50% of the ancient great ape's bloodline. His body is extremely strong. This array won't be able to hold him for long. "I'll leave first." There was a flash of thought in his mind. Lu Ming stepped into the void and left the place like a flash of light. As expected, not long after Lu Ming left, the array collapsed. The giant ape rushed out and let out a furious roar. Then, it turned into a burly young man. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he roared, "Lu Ming, I'll kill you." After saying that, he rushed out of the canyon. Lu Ming unleashed the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps, and his speed was extremely fast. After exiting the canyon, he randomly chose a direction and headed forward. Not long after, he traveled more than 100,000 miles and found a secluded mountain forest. He flew down and set up an array around him. Lu Ming began to refine the energy. Lu Ming had devoured the blood essence and energy of the geniuses, men of sacrifice, and even the demonic beasts who had died in the battle in the canyon. He circulated the 9 dragons' bloodline and refined them. The earth intent and wind intent are the most. The other intents are useless to me. Lu Ming's mind stirred. He got rid of those useless intents and turned the earth and wind intents into his own. Most of the earth intent and wind intent came from the death warriors. Those death-sworn with hammers on their backs cultivated the concept of earth, while those with long swords mostly cultivated the concept of wind. Lu Ming's concept of earth and concept of wind rose rapidly. Not long after, his concept of wind reached the limit, and he was only a step away from the 3rd level. As for the concept of earth, it had also reached the peak of the 2nd level of greater mastery. His intent realm was improving, and the quintessential essence and other energies were constantly being refined and transformed into quintessential essence. Lu Ming's cultivation began to rise, and soon the aura on his body flourished greatly, breaking through to the 9th layer of the spiritual Lotion tier in one go, and it was still rising all the way to the peak stage of the 9th layer of the spiritual Lotion tier before stopping. In one go, he had risen by 1 level. There are impurities in the true essence, and there are distracting thoughts in the intent domain. Suddenly, Lu Ming frowned. He felt that his quintessential essence was somewhat impure, and his intent realm was also somewhat impure. When he circulated it, there was a hindrance. Although this hindrance was still very weak, there would definitely be a big problem in the long run. I know, other people's quintessential essence and blood all have their own characteristics. I've refined them, but there are still remnants. It's even more so for the intent realm. Every intent realm comprehended has a distinct individual will. After I've refined it, there are still some remnants. This is very normal. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and found the problem. He thought of his earliest days, when he often relied on swallowing quintessential essence to raise his cultivation. Similarly, that would cause his cultivation foundation to be unstable, and he needed time to condense it. Later, when he used all his quintessential essence to raise his bloodline and relied on swallowing spirit crystals and origin stones to raise his cultivation, he didn't have such concerns. Spirit crystals and origin stones were all born naturally and were extremely pure. It seems that every time I advance, I'll have to stop and spend time to condense and purify my quintessential essence and intent realm to stabilize my foundation. Lu Ming pondered. Lu Ming naturally wouldn't give up on the heaven-defying ability of the 9 Dragons bloodline just because of this small flaw. At most, he would just have to spend more time to stabilize it. Immediately, Lu Ming closed his eyes and began to condense his quintessential essence and polish his intent realm. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. Lu Ming's quintessential essence and intent realm had once again become pure and condensed. There seems to be signs of a breakthrough in the intent realm of wind. With the purity of the intent realm, Lu Ming felt that the intent realm of wind seemed to have touched upon a mysterious realm. Immediately, Lu Ming continued to cultivate. Time passed day by day. In a canyon tens of thousands of miles away from Lu Ming, a shocking flame suddenly shot up into the sky. A figure appeared in the flame. This figure was Wang Yan. I've finally broken through to the spirit embryo realm. Lu Ming, the next time I see you will be the day you die. Wang Yan faced the sky and laughed loudly. His aura was extremely terrifying, and his eyes revealed a cold, murderous intent. Last time, after being injured by Lu Ming, not only did he recover from his injuries after 10 days, he even broke through to the spirit embryo realm in one go. His strength had skyrocketed. That Lu Ming will definitely go to some strange places nearby to seek opportunities. This place is the closest to the Double Moon Mountain. I'll head there and stop him halfway. Finishing his words, Wang Yan's figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. In a dark cave, corpse qi suddenly filled the air. The corpse puppet carried an ancient coffin and stepped out of the cave. Last time, his arm had been chopped off by Lu Ming using an array. However, what was shocking was that the corpse puppet's arm was completely intact, as if it had grown back. Furthermore, the aura on his body was extremely powerful. It was the aura of the spirit embryo realm. That Lu Ming will definitely go to some secret places to seek opportunities. This place is the closest to the Divine Bird Cliff. I'll go there to stop him. Finishing his words, the corpse puppet took a step forward and disappeared into the sky. At a place unknown distance away from Lu Ming, there was a majestic city. In the city, everyone was from the three-eyed god race. In a huge palace, some three-eyed god race members were discussing matters. These three-eyed god race members were all tall and sturdy and had strong auras. Another 20 years have passed. Another group of youngsters from the outside world have come to hunt our race. Damn it, they really treat our race as a test subject. At the top, a furious roar came from the mouth of a three-eyed god race member. Below, many three-eyed god race members trembled in fear and did not dare to speak. According to the ancient records, in the outside world, our race ruled the world, and humans were just food for our race. However, our ancestor was captured and brought here to become a test subject for the youngsters of the human race. I will not allow it. I will kill all of them and not leave a single one alive. Pass down my orders. Gather armies everywhere to hunt down those youngsters of the human race. Once they are found, kill without mercy. The three-eyed god race member at the top gave the order. Yes. Below, the other three-eyed god race members received the order and left. Lu Ming naturally did not know all of this. He was still cultivating. In the blink of an eye, another 10 days passed. Lu Ming had been in seclusion for 20 days. At this moment, Lu Ming opened his eyes and revealed a smile. His wind concept had successfully broken through to the 3rd level. This was the first step for Lu Ming to break through to the spirit embryo realm. 20 days have already passed. The next step is to continue searching for those mysterious places and look for opportunities to obtain more luck points. Chapter 9-10. With a thought, the Book of Destiny appeared. Lu Ming's luck points had increased to 2,500 points. This must have been due to the dozens of manifestation fruits he had obtained previously. It had increased by more than 2,000 points. This showed how amazing the luck points one could obtain from finding strange places and seizing opportunities were. With a thought, the Book of Destiny disappeared. Lu Ming took out the map he had obtained from the Three-Eyed Divine Tribe and started to look at it. Within a radius of 100,000 miles, only Double Moon Mountain and Divine Bird Cliff are strange. There might be treasures or opportunities there. Lu Ming looked at the map for a while before putting it away. I should go to Divine Bird Cliff first. Lu Ming randomly chose a place. According to the map, he soared into the air and flew toward the Divine Bird Cliff. It didn't take long for them to arrive at their destination. In front of them was a huge cliff that towered into the clouds. They could see it from afar. That was the Divine Bird Cliff. Just as Lu Ming was about to fly over, 2 powerful auras burst out from Divine Bird Cliff. Boom! With a roar, a figure rushed into the sky with a corpse aura. Corpse Puppet has broken through to the spirit embryo realm. Lu Ming's expression changed. He immediately retracted his aura and landed in the forest below to watch from afar. At this moment, Corpse Puppet's face was filled with fear and looked a little embarrassed. Corpse Puppet, die! A domineering voice was heard. Demonic aura filled the sky as a young man in a black robe appeared in front of Corpse Puppet. This young man had a cold gaze and a strong demonic aura. His aura was much stronger than Corpse Puppet's in the spirit embryo realm. Luoli, don't go too far. Corpse Puppet roared. Luoli, little demon, Lord Luoli. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and he looked grave. In the Imperial Sky Guards of Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, there were 2 peerless geniuses who were brothers. Demon Lord Luo Tian and Little Demon Lord Luo Li. Demon Lord Luo Tian was extremely talented and ranked 10th on the list of top 1,000 talents. While Little Demon Lord Luo Li was slightly less talented, he was still very powerful and ranked 61st on the list of top 1,000 talents. Ha ha ha, what a joke. The weak can only say such words. So what if I bully you? Today you will die, and your luck points will belong to me. Luoli laughed. Black fog rolled around him, and his demonic aura was extremely strong. He stepped out, and his demonic aura completely enveloped the Corpse Puppet, forming a demonic territory. Charge! The Corpse Puppet did not dare to meet the attack head-on. Corpse Chi burst out, forming a sword light, wanting to break through the demonic might and escape. Die! Luoli shouted coldly. A ray of black light shot out. The saber light seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth. It was unstoppable. Puff! The Corpse Puppet could not even block a single strike. Its head was chopped off, and its corpse fell to the ground. However, the ancient coffin on the Corpse Puppet's back trembled and quickly flew into the distance. The human corpse transformation technique is useless against me. A cold voice emerged from Luo Li's mouth. A blade light cut through the void and slashed at the ancient coffin. The ancient coffin exploded, and a skinny figure appeared from the coffin. It panicked and fled for its life. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. This was the true body of the Corpse Puppet. The one before was just his refined corpse. However, the refined corpse was no different from a human. It could speak and communicate with people. It was amazing. A blade light slashed at the corpse puppet again. No, the corpse puppet roared. In the next moment, it was cut in half by the blade light. The corpse puppet, who was ranked 96th on the list of top 1,000 talents, was killed just like that. It showed how cruel the Battle of Luck was. This was only the beginning. It would be crueler later. It was not an exaggeration to call it the burial ground of talents. After killing the corpse puppet, Luo Li waved his hand and put away the corpse puppet's storage ring. Then, he looked in the direction of Lu Ming with his sinister eyes. Lu Ming's expression changed. Could he have been discovered by Luo Li even though he was so far away? However, Luo Li only glanced at him and sneered. He then looked away and landed on Divine Bird Cliff. It seems that I can't go to Divine Bird Cliff. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Luo Li's cultivation was too strong. Compared to Luo Li, the difference was too great. He could only avoid Luo Li. Quietly turning around, Lu Ming headed in the direction of Twin Moon Mountain. Soon, he was only a few thousand miles away from Twin Moon Mountain. Lu Ming retracted his aura and approached slowly. Who knew if there were powerful talents on Twin Moon Mountain? Lu Ming had to be careful. Boom! Suddenly, a purple flame shot up to the sky from below and blasted toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's countenance changed. He took a step back and retreated rapidly, dodging the attack. A figure appeared in front of Lu Ming. Wang Yan. Lu Ming's expression changed. He realized that Wang Yan's aura was extremely terrifying. It was not the aura of a spirit sea realm cultivator, but that of a spirit embryo realm cultivator. Wang Yan had also broken through to the spirit embryo realm. For a genius like Wang Yan, breaking through from the spirit sea realm to the spirit embryo realm was not just a small increase in strength. Lu Ming, let's see how you're going to die this time. Wang Yan's gaze was extremely cold. Last time, he was severely injured by Lu Ming and almost died. He hated Lu Ming to the bone. A mere trash dared to injure him. It was unforgivable. The flames on his body were several times more terrifying than 20 days ago. The terrifying temperature caused even the air to distort. Even though there was a distance between them, Lu Ming could feel a sharp pain on his body. It was as if his entire body was burning. Xiao, with a flash of fire, Wang Yan crossed through the air and appeared in front of Lu Ming. He punched towards Lu Ming. A dragon roar sounded. Lu Ming did not hold back and instantly released all of his dragon energy. For dragon energies exploded and the true essence in his body roared. For different concepts surrounded him as he activated the suppressing Hell-Heaven skill and punched out. Boom! A ray of fire soared into the sky, and Lu Ming's body was sent flying. Blood spurted out of his mouth, and his arm was in pain. The dragon scales were burnt and cracked by the flames. The surface of his arm was charred black and emitted the fragrance of barbecued meat. Too strong. Wang Yan broke through to the spirit embryo realm, and his battle prowess increased by too much. Even though Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th level of the spirit sea realm, he was still far from being Wang Yan's opponent. His breakthrough was only a small breakthrough, while Wang Yan's was a breakthrough of a large realm. They could not be compared. If Lu Ming had not broken through, he would not even be able to take a single punch and would be severely injured. I'm not his opponent now. Let's go. Lu Ming turned around and executed the 9 dragons' heaven trampling steps. He turned into a ray of light and disappeared. Wanna run? It's not that easy. You will die today. Wang Yan roared and turned into a ray of fire, chasing after Lu Ming at an extremely fast speed. However, in terms of speed, Lu Ming was still faster. The distance between the two slowly increased. Damn it! Wang Yan roared. But at this moment, Lu Ming's gaze froze. Chapter 911. It was a young man in black. His entire body radiated a sharp aura, as if he was a peerless divine weapon. Jiang Taichong. Lu Ming's pupils constricted. Jiang Taichong's ranking on the list of top 1,000 talents was even higher than Wang Yan's. Lu Ming did not expect to meet Jiang Taichong here. It could not be so coincidental. Jiang Taichong might have met Wang Yan long ago and was lying in ambush nearby, waiting for Lu Ming. Ha! Lu Ming, let's see how you're going to escape. Wang Yan laughed excitedly. Lu Ming die. Jiang Taichong's eyes were filled with killing intent. He swung his arm, and a terrifying sword radiance slashed towards Lu Ming. With Jiang Taichong in front and Wang Yan behind, Lu Ming was in a desperate situation. With a wave of his hand, a Class 1 LV-7 puppet pounced forward, but it was split in half by Jiang Taichong's sword radiance. Jiang Taichong's combat strength was stronger than Wang Yan's. I have no choice but to fight. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with ruthlessness. The 9 Dragons bloodline appeared. Lu Ming used bloodline fusion to transform into 9 dragons and charged towards Wang Yan. Roar! The 9 dragons roared, and a terrifying devouring power erupted, enveloping Wang Yan. At the same time, 9 dragon claws stepped out consecutively. 9 dragons' sky-stomping steps, transforming into 9 dragons and using the 9 dragons' sky-stomping steps was the purest form of the 9 dragons' sky-stomping steps. Its power could only be maximized. He took 6 consecutive steps, and a terrifying force blasted towards Wang Yan, trying to break through from my side. What a joke! Die! Wang Yan's body was covered in flames, and a terrifying flaming fist radiance blasted out. Boom! The flaming fist radiance shattered the power of the 9 dragons' sky-stomping steps, but the remaining power was greatly reduced. It landed on the 9 dragons, causing them to tremble. However, they ignored it and continued to charge towards Wang Yan. You're courting death. Wang Yan threw out another punch. However, Lu Ming ignored this punch. His dragon claws stepped into the air and took 6 consecutive steps. A powerful force blasted towards Wang Yan. He was fighting with his life on the line. Boom! The terrifying fist chi landed on 9 dragons' body. In an instant, the scales on 9 dragons' body exploded and blood and flesh splattered everywhere. A huge wound appeared on 9 dragons' body. His flesh was badly mutilated, and the scorching hot flame chi flowed through the wound and rushed inside. However, the power of the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps was also directed towards Wang Yan. Wang Yan's expression changed as he was pushed back by the power of the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 9 dragons and 9 claws stepped on the air. This time, it displayed its extreme speed. The huge dragon body instantly turned into a ray of light and rushed over Wang Yan's head, flying rapidly in the direction of the Twin Moon Mountain. Damn it! Chase after them! Wang Yan furiously roared as he chased after Lu Ming. Jiang Taichong also chased after Lu Ming. One chased while the other fled. The distance of several thousand miles was crossed in an instant. The Twin Moon Mountain was right in front of him. There is indeed a powerful formation in the Twin Moon Mountain. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The Twin Moon Mountain was formed by the intersection of 2 mountain peaks, like 2 moons. At the intersection of the 2 mountain peaks, there was a huge stone door that seemed to be a cave residence. The area in front of the stone door was filled with formations. Previously, he had heard the 3-eyed divine race briefly mention the Twin Moon Mountain. The 3-eyed divine race did not know anything about arrays. However, from his words, Lu Ming deduced that an array should have been set up in front of the Twin Moon Mountain. Therefore, Lu Ming rushed over here. With a formation, it was Lu Ming's opportunity. Whoosh! Lu Ming transformed back into his human form and rushed into the Twin Moon Mountain. After charging in, his figure flashed continuously, sometimes to the left, sometimes to the right, slowly advancing forward. Whoosh! Whoosh! In the next moment, Wang Yan and Jiang Taichong arrived. When the two arrived, they stopped with ugly expressions. They had arrived a few days ago and already knew that there was a formation here. This little bastard is proficient in the inscription Dao. This formation can't stop him. Wang Yan's expression was extremely ugly. Watch how I break it. Jiang Taichong strode forward as a formation appeared on the ground. Numerous crescent-shaped saber lights slashed towards Jiang Taichong. Jiang Taichong's palms slashed out continuously. The sharp and terrifying sword lights collided with the crescent-shaped saber lights continuously. Clang! Clang! The sound of metal clashing could be heard. After a while, Jiang Taichong retreated with an ugly expression. He could not rush in at all. At this moment, Lu Ming had already passed through layers of inscription formations and arrived at an empty space in front of him. There was no formation in the innermost area. Come in if you have the ability. Lu Ming turned around and sneered at Wang Yan and Jiang Taichong. Damn it! Wang Yan roared. Unfortunately, there were formations in this area and even in the air. There was no way they could rush in. Lu Ming sneered as he sat down with his legs crossed and began to treat his injuries. Previously, he had transformed into 9 dragons and received Wang Yan's punch head-on. However, he was still injured and had to treat his injuries as soon as possible. Circulating his battle dragon true energy, Lu Ming began to treat his injuries. Outside, Wang Yan and Jiang Taichong's faces turned dark. Lu Ming was treating his injuries right in front of them, causing them to almost explode from anger. The formation here has been around for many years, and its power is not that strong. We only need to attack it continuously to deplete its energy. Once the energy of the formation is depleted, we will be able to rush in and kill Lu Ming. Jiang Taichong took a deep breath to calm himself down as he analyzed the situation. Wang Yan's eyes flickered as he said with joy, "Not bad, not bad. The formation here is not that strong. We can definitely resist it. As long as we continue to attack it, we will definitely be able to break it. Let's begin." Jiang Taichong nodded his head. Bang! Bang! A powerful aura burst out from the two as they stepped forward and entered the area of the formation. Instantly, the formation appeared and countless crescent-shaped saber lights were emitted, slashing toward the two. The two of them then attacked and clashed with the crescent-shaped saber lights. Lu Ming opened his eyes and glanced outside before he closed his eyes again and began to treat his injuries. He was well aware of Jiang Taichong and Wang Yan's plan, but his priority now was to treat his injuries before thinking about anything else. After a day and a night, Lu Ming's injuries were fully healed. Meanwhile, Jiang Taichong and Wang Yan continued to break the formation after resting for a while. Lu Ming rose from his seat and walked toward the stone door at the intersection of the two mountains. Damn it! Wang Yan let out a furious roar after seeing this. Don't worry, we will block him from the outside. Even if he manages to find a fortunate encounter, he will not be able to escape from our grasp. Jiang Taichong was much calmer than Wang Yan as he spoke. Wang Yan calmed down too and continued to break the formation. Lu Ming walked to the stone door and reached out his hands to push it with all his might. It did not budge. The stone door did not budge. Lu Ming took a step back and dashed forward with a kick, throwing a punch at the stone door. Bang! It was as if the entire ground was shaking, but the stone door did not budge. So hard! Chapter 9:12. Just now, he had used all of his true origin energy and executed the hell-suppressing heaven art, yet he was still unable to break the stone door. This stone door was terrifyingly hard. In the next moment, Lu Ming released his dragon energy. Scales appeared on his body, and his muscles bulged. He was filled with explosive strength. Boom! A heavy punch landed on the stone door. The stone door shook violently. The two mountains beside the stone door also shook violently, but in the end, the stone door remained intact. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming was like a ferocious beast in human form. He continued to punch the stone door, but he was still unable to break it open. It's too hard. With my cultivation, there's still a gap. I can't break it open. Lu Ming frowned. Ha ha ha, the heavens are really helping me. It's better for you to obediently wait for your death outside. Seeing this, Wang Yan laughed arrogantly. Jiang Taichong also smiled. Lu Ming frowned. He turned around and stopped attacking the stone door. Instead, he started to inscribe a formation on the empty ground. Humph, you want to inscribe a formation to protect yourself? Dream on. Wang Yan sneered. Since they had seen it, they would definitely be more careful. How could they step into Lu Ming's formation so easily? Lu Ming spent 3 hours setting up a large formation before stopping. Indeed, Wang Yan and Jiang Taichong had seen him inscribing the formation. No matter how strong the formation was, the two of them wouldn't be fooled by it. Thus, the formation he inscribed wasn't a powerful killing formation. It was a formation that aided in the cultivation of spirit flame. The only path he had now was strength. As long as he was strong enough, he wouldn't have to fear Wang Yan and Jiang Taichong. Thus, he had to break through on his own. However, Lu Ming's current cultivation was only at the peak of Spirit Sea Level 9. There was still Spirit Sea Great Circle before he could break through to the Spirit Embryo Realm. It was almost impossible for him to break through in a short period of time. Lu Ming estimated that the formations on the Twin Moon Mountain would only be able to stop Wang Yan and Jiang Taichong for 5 days. It was almost impossible for him to break through to the Spirit Embryo Realm in 5 days. Now, only the Tao of Inscription was possible. Originally, Lu Ming had already ignited 10 blue mind lamps and was only a step away from becoming a Level 7 inscriber. As long as his inscription Tao reached rank 7, Lu Ming's strength would soar. At that time, he would be able to fight or even kill Wang Yan and Jiang Taichong with his inscription Tao. Originally, now was not the time for a breakthrough. It was not perfect yet. He needed to cultivate for a period of time before he could naturally break through. However, he couldn't care less right now. Lu Ming had to use some methods to break through in 5 days. He sat down cross-legged, and a pill appeared in his hand. Lu Ming had purchased the explosive spirit pill from the 100 Treasure Pavilion of the Talisman Puppet Sect. Consuming this kind of pill would cause one's spirit fire to go berserk. It would allow one's spirit fire to grow for a short period of time and achieve the effect of breaking through to the next realm. However, there was a risk here. If he failed to break through to the next realm, it might cause a few of his spirit lamps to be extinguished. It would be very difficult for him to cultivate back. Even if he were to succeed in his breakthrough, his foundation would still be unstable. This would affect his future cultivation, and he would have to spend some time to make up for it. However, he couldn't care less right now. He had to get through this crisis first. Lu Ming had to break through to the next realm in 5 days. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming swallowed the explosive spirit pill and started cultivating with the underworld god observation method. In his sea of consciousness, the spirit fire started to go berserk, burning even more vigorously. On the ground, the array shone brightly. This kind of array could also allow the spirit fire to erupt with greater power. Time quickly passed. 1 day, 2 days. In the blink of an eye, 4 days had passed. In Lu Ming's sea of consciousness, the spirit fire had already gone berserk and was about to turn into a raging dragon. As the spirit fire went berserk, the flames of the 10 spirit lamps started to fuse and condense into a ball, burning fiercely. Right now, he had to make the blue spirit fire turn purple. Once it turned purple, it would mean that he had broken through to the 7th grade. Time quickly passed, minute by minute, second by second. Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung constantly bombarded the array. The array shattered one after another. They would soon break through the array and enter. Looks like this brat knows that he can't escape and is waiting for death. Wang Yan sneered. Let's be careful later. This brat might counterattack before he dies. Jiang Taichung said, what's there to be afraid of? No matter how he counterattacks, he's still a Sea of Soul Realm martial artist. What kind of threat can he pose to us? Wang Yan sneered. Jiang Taichung also nodded his head. That was indeed the case. They were all geniuses among geniuses. It was common for them to kill someone above their level. Moreover, their cultivation level was now higher than Lu Ming's. No one could defeat them when there was a huge difference in cultivation level. They constantly bombarded the array. Lu Ming's cultivation had also reached a critical moment. In his sea of consciousness, the spirit fire constantly condensed and shrunk. Slowly, when it had shrunk to the limit, a wisp of purple light spread out. A small purple spirit fire slowly burned on the first spirit lamp. It looked very small and didn't burn hot. However, the spirit fire emitted from it was 10 times stronger than before. The purple spirit fire has finally broken through. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled up into a smile. He now felt that as long as he willed it, his boundless spirit fire would be able to surge out. Looks like they haven't broken through yet. Let's wait for them. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled up into a sneer. He closed his eyes and activated the underworld god observation method to consolidate his cultivation. Half a day later, with a boom, Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung finally broke through the array. They stood a few dozen meters away from Lu Ming. However, they didn't immediately attack Lu Ming. This was because they had seen Lu Ming inscribing a large array. At this moment, Lu Ming opened his eyes and slowly stood up. Lu Ming, your death is here. Wang Yan revealed a sinister smile. Is that so? Come and kill me if you have the ability. Lu Ming revealed a disdainful smile. Humph, do you think that you can protect yourself by inscribing a large array? Watch how I break it. Wang Yan took a step forward, and a stream of flames surged towards Lu Ming along the ground. The stream of flames was unobstructed. Lu Ming's figure flashed and dodged the stream of flames. Wang Yan was slightly startled before he burst out laughing. So you're just trying to be mysterious. You don't even have an array. Die. After saying this, Wang Yan's figure flashed and charged towards Lu Ming. Jiang Taichung didn't move. Instead, he guarded the surroundings to prevent any changes or prevent Lu Ming from escaping. A dragon's roar could be heard as Lu Ming unleashed his dragon force and threw a punch at Wang Yan. With a boom, Lu Ming was knocked back. He spat out a mouthful of blood and stamped his feet on the ground. Ha die! Wang Yan laughed as a terrifying stream of flames surged towards Lu Ming. Chapter 9:13. Jiang Taichung blocked in front of Lu Ming, while Wang Yan rushed up from behind. Lu Ming had nowhere to run, but at this moment, Lu Ming's face was extremely calm, and there was even a trace of killing intent. No, for some reason, Jiang Taichung's heart skipped a beat. He felt an inexplicable sense of danger, but he couldn't figure out where it came from. Lu Ming? impossible. With Lu Ming's cultivation, it was impossible for him to be a match for them. Wang Yan was already closing in. At this moment, Lu Ming stomped his foot heavily, and dense inscriptions appeared on the ground. A few large arrays appeared. You want to deal with us by carving an array in an instant? Dream on. Wang Yan sneered, but in the next moment, his face changed. No, this is a level 7 array. How can you carve a level 7 array in an instant? Wang Yan cried out in disbelief. Carving a level 7 array in an instant wasn't something an ordinary level 7 inscription master could do. Only a level 7 inscription master with profound mental energy could do it. How could Lu Ming do it? Not good. Retreat. Jiang Taichung's face changed, and he was about to retreat. But it was too late. The array shone brightly, and golden vines condensed, wrapping around Jiang Taichung and Wang Yan. Break! Jiang Taichung's body emitted an extremely sharp aura, and with a wave of his hand, a sharp sword aura shot out, slashing at the vines. But with a single slash, he could only cut a few vines. These vines were called golden vines, and they were formed from a level 7 array, the Golden Vines Array. They were extremely tough and were impervious to fire and water. Wang Yan also roared, and flames spread out, trying to burn the vines. Although they could be burned, it was very slow. The two of them were entangled for a moment. Lu Ming sneered, and he continued carving the array. Countless inscriptions shone from Lu Ming's feet and palms, and a purple mental energy fire jumped between Lu Ming's eyebrows. Level 7 Inscription Master. He is a level 7 Inscription Master. Charge out! We must charge out! Jiang Taichung roared in shock, and charged out with all his might, cutting the vines one by one. A few golden vines array naturally couldn't completely trap Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung, but Lu Ming's goal was to stop them for a moment, and that was enough. Wang! On the ground, another array appeared. This time, it was a level 7 intermediate ice hunting array. Arrays were arrays of level 7, level, and level. For example, a 7th level elementary formation was enough to deal with practitioners at the 1st to 3rd level of Spirit Embryo Realm. If used well, it could even kill practitioners at the 3rd level of Spirit Embryo Realm. However, even though Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung were only at the 1st level of Spirit Embryo Realm, their battle prowess allowed them to kill those at the 4th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. 7th level beginner formations were of little use to them. However, it was a different story for a level 7 intermediate array. A 7th level middle grade formation could deal with strong practitioners of the 4th to 6th level of the Spirit Embryo Realm. However, although Lu Ming's spiritual energy was incomparably dense and far surpassed other inscribers of the same level, he had only just broken through to the 7th level. It was still impossible for him to instantly inscribe a mid-7th level formation. He would need some time. The time the Golden Rattan Grand Array was able to hold off Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung was enough for him to inscribe a level 7 intermediate array. Whoosh! Whoosh! 12 long spears condensed from ice appeared and emitted an extremely cold aura. They pierced through the air and pierced towards Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung respectively. Boom! Wang Yan punched out with both of his fists. Terrifying flames filled the air as he tried to melt the ice spear. However, what shocked him was that the ice spear had only shrunk a little after piercing through his fists. It was not completely melted, and it continued to fly towards Wang Yan. On the other hand, Jiang Taichung did his best to continuously hack at the ice spear. Although he managed to block it in the end, it was still extremely difficult for him. A layer of white frost appeared all over his body. His entire body trembled as if he was about to be frozen solid. Whoosh! Whoosh! What made them despair was that more ice spears were condensed. This time, there were 24 of them. Each of them had 12 ice spears. The two of them tried their best to block, but the ice spears were too powerful. Although they managed to block it, they were both injured. However, more ice spears soon appeared. Ah, ah. Then, two screams of despair were heard. Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung's bodies were pierced through by a few ice spears. Their bodies stiffened as they were frozen on the spot. "No, don't kill me!" Wang Yan screamed in fear. Although the battle of fortune was dangerous, it was also filled with opportunities. No one participated in the battle of fortune because they wanted to die. They all wanted to obtain a huge opportunity and endless fortune. Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung were naturally the same. They wanted to obtain a huge opportunity in the battle of fortune and obtain a huge fortune. They wanted to stand out and surpass those stronger geniuses. Who would have thought that they would die less than a month after the battle of fortune had started? How could they accept this? "Wang Yan, have you forgotten what I've said? I said that I will definitely kill you." Lu Ming's cold voice resounded. He then waved his hand, and an ice spear appeared, stabbing towards Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung. "No, no!" Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung screamed in fear, but they could not change the outcome. The ice spear pierced through the space between their eyebrows. Then, the 9 dragons' bloodline appeared and devoured the two of them. It did not take long for the refinement to be completed. Jiang Taichung cultivated sword intent, which was useless to Lu Ming. Wang Yan's fire intent would allow Lu Ming's fire intent to break through and enter the 3rd level. However, Lu Ming's bloodline did not increase. Prison-suppressing steel bloodline, 3rd level divine grade. 9 dragons bloodline, 4th level divine grade. Whoosh! After the refinement, Lu Ming exhaled and stood up. The Book of Fortune appeared in front of him. He realized that the fortune points on the Book of Fortune had increased by 2,000. This was because Lu Ming had robbed Wang Yan and Jiang Taichung of their fortune points after killing them. Lu Ming's fortune points were now close to 5,000. Then he looked at the stone door. He had to break open the stone door. Lu Ming began to inscribe an array in front of the stone door. This time, it took half a day for Lu Ming to inscribe an advanced level 7 array. Lu Ming could now instantly cast a beginner level 7 array. If given enough time, Lu Ming could even cast a top level 7 array. The array glowed and formed a giant hammer that smashed towards the stone door. The hammer formed by the advanced level 7 array was many times stronger than Lu Ming's own attack. Boom! The stone door shook violently, as if it was about to break open. Continue. The giant hammers formed one after another and smashed on the door. Boom! Boom! The sound of explosions was endless. After a dozen or so attacks, the door was smashed open with a bang, revealing a dark passage inside. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He waved his hand, and a puppet walked in first. Seeing that there was no danger, Lu Ming also stepped in. Chapter 9:14. This seemed to be the cave of an expert. In the secret underground room, there were tables, chairs, beds, and everything else. There were also a few bookshelves. Lu Ming walked around and found that there were only some books on the bookshelves. Lu Ming walked over and picked up a book. Heaven Zigzag Battle Art. This was a cultivation technique. Lu Ming opened it, and his eyes widened. Then he was overjoyed. This was actually a deity-grade cultivation technique, a low-grade deity-grade cultivation technique. How precious was a deity-level cultivation technique? For example, the core cultivation techniques of the 6 ancient families of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace were low-grade divine cultivation techniques. A deity-level cultivation technique could almost support an ancient aristocratic family. Lu Ming had the true dragon battle art and didn't need to cultivate other cultivation techniques. Lu Ming didn't know if the true dragon battle art that he cultivated was low-grade or high-grade divine cultivation technique. However, the cultivation requirements were extremely harsh. Others couldn't cultivate it at all. Lu Ming had 2 disciples, family, and friends now, but they couldn't cultivate the true dragon battle art. However, he could impart other divine cultivation techniques to them. Lu Ming was overjoyed and kept it. Then he looked at the other books. There were a total of more than 10 books. Among them, there were 2 divine cultivation techniques, and the rest were demigod-level martial skills. There were low-grade and high-grade demigod-level martial skills. This was an unimaginable wealth. Lu Ming kept all of them happily. He continued to walk around and found that the secret underground room was empty. There was nothing else. At this time, Lu Ming left the secret underground room reluctantly. Then he randomly chose a direction and soared into the sky. Swoosh! Not long after Lu Ming left, a figure with overwhelming demonic aura descended on the Twin Moon Mountain. It was the little demon lord, Luoli. The array here has been broken. Someone has been here. Luoli whispered. His eyes flashed coldly. He stepped out and rushed into the secret underground room. After a while, he appeared outside again. As expected, someone beat me to it. Damn it! Luoli growled and soared into the sky. The direction he chose was coincidentally the direction Lu Ming had left in. As Lu Ming flew, his muscles and bones wriggled. After a while, his physique and appearance changed greatly. Then, the inscriptions on his body shone as he laid down a formation to restrain his aura. Not a single bit of aura leaked out from his body. Right now, both the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace and the Heavenly Fiend Valley wanted to kill him. Temporarily changing his identity would be more convenient for him to act. Moreover, Lu Ming was still no match for the top geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents. Once his cultivation improved, and he was no longer afraid of them, he would no longer need to disguise himself. Lu Ming flew all the way. His speed wasn't very fast. He mainly wanted to see if there were any spirit herbs and the like and pick them along the way. Rumble! Suddenly, a terrifying sonic boom came from behind. A vast demonic might spread out from behind. Stop! Then a loud shout was heard. Lu Ming frowned. He stopped and turned his head to take a look. Luoli appeared not far from Lu Ming with his vast demonic might. Lad, you came from that direction? Luoli pointed in the direction behind him. That's right. Lu Ming frowned. Have you been to Twin Moon Mountain? Luoli asked. Twin Moon Mountain? What Twin Moon Mountain? Lu Ming played dumb. Luoli frowned slightly. He could see that Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the 9th tier of the spiritual sea realm. There was no way he could break the formation of Twin Moon Mountain. The treasures in Twin Moon Mountain shouldn't have been obtained by Lu Ming. You haven't been to Twin Moon Mountain? Then did you see anyone passing by? Luoli asked. No, I've been looking for spirit herbs in this area. I didn't see anyone else. Lu Ming said, Well, then you can go. Luoli waved his hand. Lu Ming nodded and turned to leave. The moment he turned, a trace of killing intent flashed in Luoli's eyes. With a wave of his hand, a saber light slashed toward Lu Ming. Hung. At this moment, Lu Ming exploded with dragon power. He turned around and punched out, colliding with the saber light. His body trembled, and he retreated madly. What are you doing? Lu Ming shouted. Humph, restrain your aura and sneak around. Let's kill first. Luoli snorted, but a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. Although his move just now was a casual slash, almost no one under the spirit embryo realm could block it. He didn't expect Lu Ming to block it. Lu Ming's battle prowess surprised him. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. These people were really domineering. Just a little bit of suspicion, and they wanted to kill. Luckily, he was prepared. The moment Luo Li made his move, he sensed it. Xiao! Luo Li's demonic aura churned. His palm slashed out again, and a black saber light slashed violently toward Lu Ming. A purple flame flashed in the heart of Lu Ming's brows. He waved his hands, and formations appeared in the air, forming golden vines that coiled towards Luo Li, inscribing formations in the air. You are a 7th grade inscription master. Looks like the treasure of Double Moon Mountain is yours. Die! Luo Li's killing intent surged as he shouted. His saber light flashed. Pung! Pung! The incomparably sturdy golden vines instantly shattered, unable to block Luo Li's attack. Lu Ming took a few steps and waved his hands. Formations appeared one after another. They were all 7th grade elementary formations. However, Luo Li was really too strong. With a slash of his saber, there was nothing it couldn't break. Those formations shattered one by one. Peak of the 3rd level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Lu Ming's pupils contracted. Little Devil Lord Luo Li's cultivation was at the peak of the 3rd level of Spirit Embryo Realm. However, with his battle prowess, even if he was 3 levels higher, it wouldn't be difficult for him to kill a normal martial arts practitioner at the 6th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. He was simply too strong. And this was only at the Spirit Embryo Realm. If he was at the Spirit Ocean Realm, it would be easy for him to kill an enemy 4 levels higher. 7th grade elementary formations didn't pose any threat to Luo Li. Kill! The pitch-black devil saber gave off a terrifying aura. The formations shattered, and Lu Ming was swept by a saber light. The scales on his skin shattered, and one of his arms was almost chopped off. Pung! The formation on Lu Ming's body that was concealing his aura collapsed, and his original aura leaked out. You are Lu Ming? Ha ha ha, my luck isn't bad. If I kill you, the Supreme Elder of Wang family will reward me handsomely. Luo Li laughed loudly. His devil aura surged, and a terrifying saber light slashed through everything. The formation in front of him instantly shattered, and the terrifying saber light slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved his hands, and 2 puppets rushed out. They were easily split into 2 by the saber light. Lu Ming, consider yourself unlucky to have met me. Today, you will definitely die. Luo Li laughed loudly. However, Lu Ming waved his hands again. This time, more than 10 puppets appeared and rushed towards Luo Li. These puppets were all at the 1st and 2nd grade of 7th grade. Behind the puppets were 9 puppets that looked like white birds. They followed the puppets in front and rushed towards Luo Li. The 9 puppets at the back were all at the 4th grade of 7th grade. These were the highest grade puppets that Lu Ming had bought from the 100 Treasures Pavilion. If he hadn't become a 7th grade inscription master, he wouldn't have been able to control them. Luo Li's devil saber slashed out, and the puppets in front of him were all chopped into pieces. But at this moment, the strongest puppet arrived behind him. Explode! Chapter 9:15. As Lu Ming uttered the word, explode, the 9 level 4 4th level puppets glowed all over and exploded with a loud bang. Puppets self-destructed. 9 level 4, level 7 puppets self-destructed, forming a terrifying energy storm that surged toward Luo Li. Lu Ming turned around and used the 9 dragons' heaven stomp to leave the place. Rumble! Luo Li's angry roar could be heard from the raging energy storm. After a few breaths, Luo Li rushed out. He was in a sorry state. His clothes were in tatters, and there were many wounds on his body that bled profusely. His face was charred black, as if it had been charred. He looked around, but there was no trace of Lu Ming. "Ah, Lu Ming, I'll kill you." Luo Li roared angrily. A moment of carelessness had cost him a great deal. Luo Li's desire to kill Lu Ming was extremely strong. Lu Ming used the 9 Dragons' heaven-stomping steps and moved forward quickly. The explosion of the 9 puppets was powerful, but Lu Ming knew that it would not be able to do anything to Luo Li. It's still not enough to rely on the path of inscription alone. Lu Ming frowned. His path of inscription was already very strong. He could instantly cast a beginner grade 7 formation and coordinate it well. Even an ordinary martial artist of the 4th spirit embryo realm would be killed by him. He had just become a grade 7 inscription master, which was already terrifying. However, Luo Li was not an ordinary martial artist. He was a prodigy among prodigies. "I have to break through to the spirit embryo realm as soon as possible. Only then can I combine martial arts with inscription to be confident of fighting prodigies like Luo Li." Breaking through to the spirit embryo realm was imperative. With Lu Ming's current combat ability, he could easily deal with ordinary prodigies or even most of the god-level prodigies. However, the top 100 of the list of top 1,000 talents, or even those higher up, were all monsters. He was far from enough. After flying for 100,000 miles, Lu Ming landed. After circulating his energy for a while, the injury on his arm was completely healed. Afterward, Lu Ming took a look at his luck points. His luck points had exceeded 10,000 and reached 10,800. After obtaining the secret manuals from the Twin Moon Mountain, his luck points increased by more than 5,000. "I finished exploring the strange land within a radius of 100,000 li. I need to go further." Lu Ming pondered for a moment before choosing to fly west. After flying for a while, Lu Ming's eyes suddenly paused. A group of figures appeared in front of him. There were about 100 members of the 3-eyed divine race flying at high speed in the sky. At this moment, the 3-eyed being had caught sight of Lu Ming as well. "It's those human youths. Kill them! Kill them!" As soon as the 3-eyed divine race saw Lu Ming, they roared and rushed towards Lu Ming. The strongest seems to be at the 4th level of spirit embryo realm. "In that case, shall all of you become my nourishment?" Lu Ming's eyes flashed with cold-killing intent. He took several steps forward, and the inscriptions continued to seep into the void. Whoosh! Whoosh! The speed of the 3-eyed divine race was extremely fast. In just a few breaths, they had already closed in on Lu Ming. Lu Ming took a heavy step in the void, and the inscriptions shone. Formations appeared and condensed into sword lights that slashed forward. This was a 7th level formation, and its power was extremely strong. The 3-eyed divine race who were below the spirit embryo realm were instantly split into 2 and killed on the spot. Roar! The bloodline of the 9 dragons appeared, and with a roar, the power of devouring burst forth. The blood essence, runes, and energy of the dead 3-eyed divine race were all devoured by Lu Ming. Even those who weren't dead had their battle prowess greatly reduced under the devouring power of the 9 dragons' bloodline. Lu Ming continued to inscribe formations and unleash attacks that were like a storm. Some of the 3-eyed divine race who were at the 1st and 2nd level of spirit embryo realm found it hard to defend themselves. Under the storm-like attacks, they were killed. Retreat! Retreat! The leader was a 3-eyed divine race who was at the 4th level of spirit embryo realm. He was tall and sturdy and had a powerful aura. At this moment, however, he was filled with fear as he screamed. Whoosh! Whoosh! Sword light flashed, and the 3-eyed divine race were killed one by one. Bang! In the end, only the 3-eyed divine race who was at the 4th level of spirit embryo realm managed to escape the area covered by the formation. He frantically fled into the distance, disappearing into the horizon. The rest of the three-eyed divine race were all killed by Lu Ming. What a pity! Lu Ming muttered. If he had focused all his attacks on the three-eyed divine race who was at the fourth level of spirit embryo realm, it would have been enough to kill him. However, the attacks just now were too scattered, which was why he managed to escape. Lu Ming put away all the storage rings and controlled the bloodline of the 9 dragons to devour over 100 three-eyed divine race into mummies. He then left the place. 10,000 miles away, Lu Ming dug out a cave in a huge mountain. He inscribed formations at the entrance of the cave and sat cross-legged in the cave, beginning to refine. Although most of the three-eyed divine race were at the 9th level of Spirit Sea Realm or at the perfected Spirit Sea Realm, their energy was still astonishing. Lu Ming continuously refined them. Lu Ming's focus was on the concept. The concepts that he didn't need were directly eliminated and refined those that were needed. Among them, the concept of fire was the most. There was also the concept of thunder and some concept of wind. There weren't many concepts of earth, but there were still a few. There was even a three-eyed divine race who was at the 2nd level of spirit embryo realm who had comprehended the concept of earth. The concept of spirit embryo realm was definitely at the 3rd level. This allowed Lu Ming's concept of earth to break through to the 2nd level of perfection. As the concept of earth broke through to the 2nd level of perfection, the huge amount of energy was continuously converted into Lu Ming's cultivation. Not long after, the aura on Lu Ming's body increased drastically, breaking through to the perfected Spirit Sea Realm. 1. Immediately after, the bloodline of the prison's suppressing monument appeared, emitting an ancient and heavy aura. 3 golden chakras lit up, and in the next moment, the 4th chakra appeared. The bloodline of the prison's suppressing monument also leveled up, reaching the 4th level of the God realm. 2 hours later, Lu Ming finally refined all the energy. The concept of wind and the concept of fire improved the most, constantly nearing the 3rd level of the lower tier. The concept of thunder also broke through to the 3rd level. Only the concept of earth was still at the 2nd level of perfection. His cultivation had also reached the peak of the perfected Spirit Sea Realm, only a step away from the Spirit Embryo Realm. This time, he had gained a lot. Moreover, his luck points had increased by a few thousand. Killing these three-eyed divine race members is really a big gain. Lu Ming revealed a smile. The 2nd level of perfection of the concept of earth. Now is the time for the myriad fruit to come in handy. Lu Ming pondered, and in the next moment, a myriad fruit appeared in his hand. Without hesitation, he swallowed it. Lu Ming's mind moved, and the myriad fruit entered Lu Ming's body, turning into a mysterious energy. This energy seemed to follow Lu Ming's thoughts, turning into an extremely rich concept of earth. The myriad fruit could change everything, and it was really mysterious. Lu Ming used the myriad fruit to cultivate the concept of earth, and his progress was extremely fast. After using up 1 myriad fruit, Lu Ming took out the next one. Last time, Lu Ming had obtained a total of 12 myriad fruits. 3 days later, after Lu Ming swallowed 7 myriad fruits, his concept of earth finally broke through the bottleneck and reached the 3rd level. Chapter 9:16. However, Lu Ming's cultivation wasn't over yet. He spent another 2 days to refine the remaining 5 myriad fruit. His earth concept had advanced to the middle stage of level 3. However, the more I eat, the worse the effects of the myriad fruit. Lu Ming thought. The myriad fruit was the most effective during the first 5. Towards the end, the body seemed to be immune to the myriad fruit, and the effects would become worse. If there were more myriad manifestation fruits, the effect would be negligible if he continued to eat them. All 4 concepts had reached level 3. The next step was to condense the spirit embryo. Condensing the spirit embryo meant condensing the spirit seed into a round shape, like a placenta. That was why it was called a spirit embryo. A spirit embryo could give birth to a spirit god. It wasn't easy to condense a spirit embryo as it required a large amount of energy. Lu Ming had a large amount of origin stones on him. However, Lu Ming didn't want to waste them. Weren't there many 3-eyed divine tribe members outside? Why waste them? Lu Ming exited the cave and found a majestic and obvious mountain peak. Lu Ming began to inscribe formations at the peak of the mountain. Endless inscriptions continued to seep into the mountain peak. This time, he spent a total of 2 days. In 2 days, he only managed to inscribe a single formation. However, this grand array was a top-notch level 7 grand array. Its power was incomparably terrifying. After inscribing, Lu Ming spent some more time inscribing some level 7 intermediate formations. Then, he sat cross-legged on the mountain peak. He planned to wait here for the 3-eyed divine tribe members to come. Since he needed time to condense and polish the concept and true Yuan, he might as well wait for the enemy to take the bait and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Lu Ming closed his eyes and cultivated quietly at the peak of the mountain. 1 day, 2 days, and 3 days later, there wasn't a single person. However, Lu Ming wasn't in a hurry. His true Yuan and concept were slowly becoming pure, but it wasn't enough. He still needed to condense and polish quickly. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days passed. Lu Ming sat there for 6 days. Swoosh, swoosh. On the 7th day, a piercing sound could be heard as over 20 figures appeared not far away from the mountain. There were more than 20 figures, all of whom were young. Some of them were young geniuses, some carried long swords on their backs. Wrapped in black robes, these were death warriors. These were the geniuses of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. There's someone on the mountain. One of them looked at the mountain peak and said, everyone else looked toward the mountain peak. That person looks familiar. It's Lu Ming. That's Lu Ming. Someone shouted, it really is Lu Ming. I didn't expect him to be sitting on the mountain in broad daylight. Brother Luan, why don't we attack and kill Lu Ming? In the end, the young men all looked at a young man in armor. He was a god-level genius from the ancient Luan family and ranked 139th on the list of top 1,000 talents. He was the leader of the crowd. At this moment, Lu Ming also opened his eyes and looked at the geniuses of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace with a cold smile. Since he had set up the array, Lu Ming did not disguise himself. If the geniuses of the other forces wanted to kill him, he would not mind killing them to obtain their luck points. The genius from the Luan family frowned slightly. Back at the exchange meet in 9 Dragons City, Lu Ming had displayed his powerful combat strength, which was not much weaker than his. Now that more than half a year had passed, although he had made great progress, Lu Ming must have become stronger as well. He was not confident. Moreover, Lu Ming was sitting on the mountain peak in broad daylight, which made him feel uneasy. Lu Ming is very strange. To be honest, I'm not completely confident. Moreover, he's just sitting there. I'm afraid there's a trap. Let's leave Lu Ming's life to those stronger experts. We just need to spread the news. The genius from the Luan family said slowly. The others fell silent for a moment before nodding their heads. Since the genius from the Luan family had said so, the weaker ones would naturally not dare to make a move. Let's go. Let's leave this place. The genius from the Luan family said. Then the group flew forward and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming felt that it was a pity. These people were really cautious. He had no choice but to continue waiting. However, less than 2 hours later, there was a loud piercing sound in front of him. Lu Ming saw that it was still the group of people from the Wan family. However, at this moment, they were panicking and in a sorry state. They were fleeing for their lives. Behind them, there were many tall and burly figures chasing after them, the three-eyed divine race. Behind them, there were 500 to 600 three-eyed divine race pursuing them. Among the three-eyed divine race, there were many powerful existences with terrifying auras. Die, humans! How dare you use us as a test subject? Die! The three-eyed divine race shouted as they chased after them. They did not use their full strength, and it was like a game of cat and mouse. Stop fooling around. Kill these ants quickly and look for other humans. There will be great rewards for every one of them killed. A deep voice sounded. Yes, the strong practitioners of the three-eyed divine race answered and increased their speed. They broke through the air and rushed in front of the genius from the Wan family, blocking their path. These people were all at the third level of the spirit embryo realm. As for the youth from the Wan family, he was only at the great circle of the spiritual sea realm. At this moment, his face was filled with despair. There's a human on the mountain peak. Go kill him. At this moment, the three-eyed divine race discovered Lu Ming. The leader waved his hand, and a three-eyed divine race at the first level of the spirit embryo realm immediately rushed up the mountain peak and rushed towards Lu Ming with a sinister smile. Die! The three-eyed divine race's killing intent was cold. You're the one who's going to die. Lu Ming stood up and struck out with his palm like lightning. Boom! This three-eyed divine race at the first level of the spirit embryo realm was directly split into pieces by Lu Ming's palm. Now, Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the great circle of the spiritual sea realm. It was easy for him to kill an expert at the first level of the spirit embryo realm. I must control the suppressing hell celestial skill well. I can't let it explode too much. Lu Ming warned himself secretly as the suppressing hell steel bloodline was upgraded to the fourth level of the god level. The power of the suppressing hell celestial skill reached the level of a low-grade god level martial technique. Its power was terrifying. However, the amount of vital essence consumed was unimaginable. If Lu Ming used the white hair suppressing hell celestial skill at full power, his vital essence would be sucked dry in an instant. Furthermore, he wouldn't be able to unleash much power. Seems like I have to stop upgrading the suppressing hell steel bloodline and focus on upgrading the Nine Dragons bloodline. Otherwise, the suppressing hell celestial skill will be too powerful, and my cultivation will be too weak to unleash its full power. I have to raise my cultivation first. Thoughts ran through Lu Ming's mind. On the other hand, the genius from the Wan family was dumbfounded. Lu Ming actually killed a three-eyed divine race at the first level of the spirit embryo realm in one move. He was too strong. His battle power was definitely above his. However, facing so many three-eyed divine race members, he still had to die. Yes, his battle power is not bad. All of you attack together and kill him. Chapter 9:17. These 7 to 8 three-eyed gods were all at the first or second level of spirit embryo realm. There was even one at the third level of spirit embryo realm. It was more than enough to kill Lu Ming. The 8 three-eyed gods were tall and sturdy. They were covered in scales, and their gazes were cold, like demons from the abyss. They stepped on the void, causing it to tremble as a terrifying aura emanated from their bodies. At this moment, the three-eyed divine tribe members who were about to kill the prodigies of the Wan family stopped in their tracks and looked in Lu Ming's direction. They wanted to see how Lu Ming would be killed. They wanted to make the prodigies of the Wan family even more fearful. Bang! Bang! The 8 three-eyed gods landed on the mountain peak, causing it to rumble. The 8 of them landed in 4 different directions and surrounded Lu Ming. Die! A three-eyed god race that was at the second level of spirit embryo realm gave a cold shout and shot out a beam of light from his third eye. This beam of light was formed from cold ice, and wherever the beam passed, a white passage would appear in the space. It was all ice crystals. Bang! Lu Ming took a step forward, and a huge formation appeared on the ground. 2 long ice spears formed. One of them destroyed the beam of light shot out by the three-eyed god, while the other pierced through him. Not good, it's a formation. On the mountain peak, the expressions of the other 7 three-eyed gods changed drastically. They wanted to retreat, but it was already too late. The cold air was oppressive. In an instant, over 20 long ice spears formed and enveloped the 7 three-eyed gods. Whoosh! Whoosh! The long spears pierced through the air at an unparalleled speed. The 7 three-eyed gods screamed as they were killed one after another. This was a 7th-level intermediate formation. It was more than enough to kill the three-eyed gods who were at the 3rd level of spirit embryo realm. The expressions of the other three-eyed gods changed. The leader of the three-eyed gods had a grave expression. Then a cold, murderous intent spread out. So, there's a formation here. Do you think it's useful just because you laid a formation? You're still going to die. Let's attack together and kill him from a distance. The leader of the three-eyed gods ordered. The three-eyed godly tribe immediately surrounded the mountain that Lu Ming was at. It was impenetrable. On the other hand, no one cared about the geniuses of the Wan clan. Let's go further away. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the prodigy of the Wan clan and the others flew far away and hid in a secluded mountain peak to observe. If anything went wrong, they would run away immediately. Kill. The leader of the three-eyed god clan gave the order. All of a sudden, the third eye of all the three-eyed god clan members lit up. Beams of light pierced through the air and shot toward Lu Ming. 3,000 meters is enough. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. Although the three-eyed divine race had surrounded the mountain, they were still within 3,000 meters of the mountain. This was enough. With a single step, a huge array formation appeared on the mountain peak. This array formation was formed from countless runes. This was the peak's 7th grade array that Lu Ming had spent 2 days inscribing. This array formation was called the Star-Chasing, Moon-Chasing Array. When the array was activated, countless arrows were formed and shot in all directions. Every arrow was like a beam of light that pierced through the void. It was as if they could chase after the stars and the moon, hence the name of the array. Bam, bam, bam. The beams of light shot out from the eyes of the three-eyed divine race were all shattered. The arrows continued to shoot toward the three-eyed divine race in all directions. Uft, uft. The power of a peak 7th grade array formation was terrifying. The three-eyed divine race were all pierced through and shot to death in the air. Retreat, retreat quickly. The remaining three-eyed divine race screamed in fear. They wanted to escape, but what welcomed them was even more arrows. Blood splattered everywhere, and miserable shrieks were heard. No matter if they were at the spiritual sea realm or spirit embryo realm, or if they were at the 1st or 2nd level of spirit embryo realm, or even stronger, they were all killed by the arrows in an instant. No, the leader of the three-eyed divine race screamed in fear. A boundless aura burst forth from his body, and a terrifying black light that had the power to destroy heaven and earth. The leader of the three-eyed divine race had the cultivation of the 7th level of spirit embryo realm and was extremely powerful. However, under a peak 7th grade array formation, it was still useless. He was pierced through by the densely packed arrows and turned into a hornet's nest. A peak 7th grade array formation could kill a strong practitioner at the 7th level of spirit embryo realm and above, let alone a peak 7th grade array formation. This was something that Lu Ming had spent 2 whole days to set up. Far away, the prodigies of Luan family, and the rest were so frightened that their faces turned pale. Their bodies were trembling in fear. They recalled that they had wanted to kill Lu Ming previously. Luckily, they were afraid and didn't make a move. Otherwise, they would have been dead long ago. This Lu Ming is too strong. He can actually set up such a terrifying array. We better not provoke him in the future. If others want to kill him and obtain the rewards, let them go. The prodigies of Luan family said with lingering fear, "That's right. Such a monster isn't someone we can deal with. Let's leave this place first and look for other opportunities." Another person said softly, "That's right. Let's go." Then, the prodigies of Luan family carefully left the place. At this moment, all the three-eyed divine race around the mountain peak had been killed by the array formation. Lu Ming glanced in the direction that the prodigies of Luan family had left and ignored them. That was just a clown. At most, he was only at the peak of the spiritual ocean realm. Even if he killed him, he wouldn't gain much. The bloodline of the 9 dragons appeared, and a violent devouring power erupted. The blood essence, energy, and runes of the three-eyed divine race were all devoured by the bloodline. Let's go and find a place to refine. Lu Ming moved and left the place. He found a secluded place and started refining. The rolling energy was continuously converted into vital essence and poured into his spirit sea. The blood essence was used to upgrade the bloodline of the 9 dragons. It's enough. I have enough energy. Let's break through to the spirit embryo realm now. Circulating the true dragon battle art, Lu Ming started to break through to the next realm. The spirit sea realm was the continuous expansion of the spirit sea. The larger the spirit sea, the more vital essence it could store. However, the spirit embryo realm was completely different. It required the spirit sea to be condensed into a ball like an embryo. This was the spirit embryo realm. As one's cultivation increased, the spirit embryo realm would become smaller and smaller. However, it would become more and more condensed and eventually give birth to a spirit god. Rumble! The spirit sea started to vibrate and change shape. Lu Ming started to break through to the next realm. This process was slow and required time. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. The spirit sea in Lu Ming's dantian had disappeared and was replaced by a huge ball. This ball was transformed from the spirit sea and was completely condensed from vital essence. A vast and powerful aura was emitted from the ball. Lu Ming's body also emitted a powerful aura. He had broken through to the spirit embryo realm. However, this wasn't the end. The energy from the hundreds of three-eyed divine race that he had devoured was too abundant. Lu Ming had broken through to the first level of spirit embryo realm, but the energy wasn't completely depleted. Lu Ming's cultivation was still rising rapidly. Chapter 9:18. Lu Ming's cultivation had broken through to the second level of spirit embryo realm, and his strength had increased exponentially. Lu Ming felt his body brimming with power. Roar! Dragon roars resounded as the 5 golden chakras on the 9 dragons' bloodline shone brightly. The 9 dragons' bloodline had also increased by another level, reaching the 5th level of the divine level. This was all thanks to the three-eyed God clan leader, who was at the 7th level of the spirit embryo realm. He was really powerful, be it his blood essence or his energy. They were all extremely powerful. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Lu Ming to have such a huge improvement. Also, the concepts of wind, fire, and thunder are all at the peak of the 3rd level, just one step away from the third level of the initial stage. The concept of Earth is also at the late stage of the third level. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with excitement. The ability of the 9 Dragons bloodline was too heaven-defying. It allowed Lu Ming's cultivation to increase exponentially, and it was completely possible for him to cultivate more concepts in the future. This time, both my concepts and true essence have increased too much. I can already feel that there are some impurities in my concepts, and the same goes for my true essence. I won't be able to devour for the next period of time. I need to stabilize my foundation. Lu Ming thought to himself. However, Lu Ming didn't want to cultivate in seclusion all the time. He wanted to look for treasures and opportunities while slowly polishing his foundation. After all, 1.5 months had passed since the Battle of Destiny. There was less and less time left. Lu Ming ended his seclusion and flew into the sky. His body moved, and his true essence erupted. Lu Ming's figure was dozens of miles away. My true essence is too strong. With my current cultivation, I can definitely fight Little Devil Lord Luo Li, and even kill him. Lu Ming's face revealed a confident smile. Compared to the last time he met Luo Li, Lu Ming had improved too much. His 4 concepts had all broken through to the third level, and the advancement of the 9 Dragons bloodline had given him an additional dragon force. In addition to his cultivation reaching the 2nd level of spirit embryo realm, his battle prowess had increased too much. Xiao! Lu Ming turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the sky. Next, Lu Ming searched for spiritual herbs and precious materials while polishing his foundation and stabilizing his cultivation base. Although Lu Ming's speed was not too fast, he still flew hundreds of thousands of miles. Along the way, he encountered people from the 3-eyed divine race several times, but he did not attack and flew past them. There were powerful existences among the 3-eyed god race. There were quite a few of them who were above the 7th level of spirit embryo realm. And in the spirit embryo realm, it was undoubtedly even more difficult to fight someone of a higher level. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, he was confident that he wasn't afraid of strong practitioners at the 7th level of spirit embryo realm. However, if he was surrounded by many strong practitioners of this level, it would be troublesome. Moreover, his foundation was not stable yet. Even if he killed the 3-eyed divine race, he would not be able to devour them. Therefore, he did not make a move. On this day, Lu Ming was sitting cross-legged on a large tree, condensing his true essence and polishing his concepts. Suddenly, in the distant sky, 2 figures rapidly flew forward. They were 2 youths, a man and a woman. Inscriptions flickered on their bodies. Xing Cheng had a pair of wings. They flapped their wings and continued to fly forward. However, their expressions showed that they were panicking and in a sorry state. People from the Talisman Puppet sect. Lu Ming's expression flickered. This was the first time Lu Ming had encountered disciples from the Talisman Puppet sect since he entered. There were very few people from the Talisman Puppet sect participating in the Battle of Providence, so the chances of encountering them were naturally low. However, these 2 people from the Talisman Puppet sect were clearly fleeing. There were people chasing after them. Swoosh! Swoosh! 2 or 4 streaks of light streaked across the sky and chased after them. They were 4 youths. Judging from their attire, they were actually from the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and the Heavenly Corpse sect. The 2 forces had actually joined forces to chase after the people from the Talisman Puppet sect. Hee, you can't run away. Come with us obediently. A genius from the Heavenly Corpse sect who was surrounded by corpse chi sneered. This person's cultivation was at the perfected spiritual sea realm. It had been more than 1.5 months since the Battle of Providence had started. In such an environment, Lu Ming was not the only one who was improving. Everyone was improving. Many people's cultivation was also advancing by leaps and bounds. When they had first entered, only Wang Yan and around the top 100 on the list of top 1,000 talents were at the perfected spiritual sea realm. Even Di Feng was only at the peak of the 9th level of the spiritual sea realm at that time. However, many people had already broken through to the perfected spiritual sea realm, and some had even begun to break through to the spiritual embryo realm. As for the geniuses who were originally above the spiritual embryo realm, naturally, they had also broken through. Everyone was improving. If they did not, they would be eliminated. Among the 3 youths who were chasing after them, one of them was at the perfected spiritual sea realm, while the other 2 were at the peak of the 9th level of the spiritual sea realm. The 4 of them were extremely fast and quickly approached the 2 disciples from the Talisman Puppet sect. Fight it out with them. The girl from the Talisman Puppet sect shouted angrily and stopped. More than 10 inscription talisman scrolls appeared in her hands. Her spiritual fire spread out, and the inscription talisman scrolls glowed. They exploded with attacks and attacked the 4 people who were chasing after them. Child's play. A flash of saber light shot out from a youth in purple from the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. The youth in purple was another expert at the perfected spiritual sea realm. There was no doubt that this person was a god-tier genius who had awakened his god-tier bloodline and had extremely powerful battle prowess. As the flash of saber light slashed out, the inscription talisman scrolls attacks of the girl from the Talisman Puppet sect were all defeated. In the end, the flash of saber light landed on the girl's body and broke her protective barrier. The girl spat out a large mouthful of blood, and her body floated back. Junior sister, hi. The youth from the Talisman Puppet sect supported the girl with a face full of worry. Hee, I said that you guys can't escape. Come with us obediently. The youth from the Heavenly Corpse sect stepped forward and sneered. The 4 youths from the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and the Heavenly Corpse sect had already surrounded the 2 disciples from the Talisman Puppet sect. Don't even think about it. You guys captured the disciples of our Talisman Puppet sect just to help you guys break the array in the ruins. That array is extremely mysterious and dangerous. Even if we tried to break it, there is a high chance that we would die. The treasures that we obtain in the end would still belong to you guys. Don't even think about it. The girl from the Talisman Puppet sect was extremely unyielding as she berated loudly. Don't you guys understand? The only purpose of the Talisman Puppet sect in the Battle of Providence is to help us break the array in the ruins. Otherwise, we would have killed you the moment we saw you. Why would we have kept you alive until now? The youth in purple said coldly, with a condescending look on his face. Kong Mingshang, if you want to kill me, just kill me. I'll help you break the array. After this one, there will be another one. I'll die sooner or later. Why don't you kill me now? The girl shouted coldly. Kong Mingshang was a genius from the Kong clan, one of the 6 great ancient families. He was ranked 198th on the list of top 1,000 talents and was a true god-tier genius. You want to die? Not so easy. You're pretty, and we can enjoy you. Let's see if you'll beg for mercy under my crotch. The youth from the Heavenly Corpse sect sneered as a trace of evil fire flashed in his eyes. This made the girl's face turn pale. Everyone, I hope I'm not disturbing you. Chapter 9:19. Tianyun no Luming Zongzi. The 2 from the Talisman Puppet sect were pleasantly surprised when they saw Lu Ming. Lu Ming, it's you. Kong Mingshang. And the others were shocked when they saw Lu Ming. When Lu Ming was at the exchange meet, his combat power was already very terrifying. Kong Mingshang and the other three could not help but gather together, looking at Lu Ming with a grave expression. What? Do you think there's no one in the Talisman Puppet sect? Lu Ming's face turned cold, and a murderous look flashed across his eyes. There are 4 of us. We don't have to be afraid of him. Furthermore, our cultivation has improved by leaps and bounds during this period of time. Perhaps we have improved faster than Lu Ming. If we join forces, we will be able to kill him. Kong Mingshang's eyes flashed with a hint of viciousness and greed. He was very tempted to kill Lu Ming and be rewarded handsomely by the Wang family supreme martial artist. The other 3 were also tempted by Kong Mingshang's words. Lu Ming was strong in the past, but it did not mean that he would always be strong. They had improved greatly during this period of time and did not believe that the 4 of them could not kill Lu Ming. Lu Ming looked at Kong Mingshang with a faint smile, and a hint of contempt flashed across his eyes. Let's attack together and kill him. Kong Mingshang growled. Kong Mingshang felt very uncomfortable when Lu Ming looked at him in such a way. He was a god-level genius ranked 198th on the list of top 1,000 talents. How could Lu Ming look at him with such contempt? Who was Lu Ming to him? Kill! The 4 of them roared and attacked Lu Ming at the same time. Dazzling saber gleams and majestic corpse aura shrouded Lu Ming. Zongzi, be careful! The 2 disciples from the Talisman Puppet sect exclaimed. There was a cold smile at the corners of Lu Ming's lips. He did not move and merely took a step forward. Countless inscriptions spread out from under Lu Ming's feet, and a large formation appeared out of thin air. A flaming tiger appeared and roared at the sky. Kong Mingshang and the others were shocked, and their pupils constricted. He's a level 7 inscriber. This is a level 7 formation. No, please spare us. The 4 of them screamed in horror. The Talisman Puppet sect. But in the next moment, the flaming tiger pounced on them and tore them apart. Naturally, after killing the 4 people, Lu Ming's luck value increased again. The 2 disciples from the Talisman Puppet sect were dumbfounded. Lu Zongzi, you've become a level 7 inscriber? The young lady was overjoyed. The young geniuses of the Talisman Puppet sect knew that Lu Ming had lit up 10 spirit lamps for the first 5 levels. Later on, Lu Ming entered the observatory and lit up the spirit lamps for the 6th level. Given such a foundation, Lu Ming would definitely be very powerful when he broke through to become a level 7 inscription master. Naturally, they were happy. Lu Ming nodded and asked, "What's your name?" "Zongzi. I'm Hai Fei and he's Lu Guang," the young lady said. The 2 of them looked quite intimate and should be lovers. "I heard you guys say that the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and the Heavenly Corpse sect captured our Talisman Puppet sect's disciples to help them break the formations in the ruins. What exactly happened?" Lu Ming asked. "It's like this. The Heavenly Corpse sect, the Sky Demon Valley, and the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace discovered a huge ruin. However, the surroundings of the ruin were filled with formations. Those formations were incomparably powerful, and the half-baked Tao of inscription of the Heavenly Corpse sect and the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace were unable to break them. Therefore, they set their sights on the disciples of our Talisman Puppet sect. The 3 of them joined forces to capture the disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect and help them break the formations." Hai Fei gritted her teeth. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a trace of sharpness. They were using the disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect as tools. Are there no experts from the Talisman Puppet sect to fight against them? Lu Ming asked. Hai Fei shook her head and said, "The 13 Zongzi candidates aren't here. Their opponents are too strong. Even if someone fights against them, it's a dead end." "That's right. I've heard that many talents from the three sects have gathered at the relic. Many of them are ranked in the top 100 on the list of top 1,000 talents. The strongest ones are Little Demon Lord Luo Li, Li Fire Sword Brother Li Tian, Blood Sword 7 and Blood Sword 9 from the Heavenly Corpse sect, and 2 talents from the Sky Demon Valley, who are on par with Li Fire Sword and Little Demon Lord. Lu Guang added, Little Demon Lord, Brother Li Tian? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Among these people, Brother Li Tian ranked the highest on the list of top 1,000 talents, 51st, 10 ranks higher than Little Demon Lord Luo Li. Of course, it had been more than 4 years since the last update of the list of top 1,000 talents. Brother Li Tian's combat strength might not be stronger than Little Demon Lord's, but he was definitely not to be underestimated. Where's the ruin? Lu Ming asked. Zongzit, you want to go? But they're so strong. Hai Fei was a little worried. Why? Are you scared? If you're scared, tell me the address, and I'll go alone. Lu Ming said he would take control of the Talisman Puppet sect sooner or later. In his opinion, these geniuses of the Talisman Puppet sect would become the pillars of the Talisman Puppet sect in the future and become powerful helpers. How could he let them die here? Lu Ming was definitely going to save them. Also, it was time to settle the score with Little Demon Lord for wasting so many puppets. No, I'm not scared. If Zongzi wants to go, I'll go with him. Lu Guang, what about you? Hai Fei gritted her teeth and then looked at Lu Guang. If you're going, I'm going too. Lu Guang's resolute gaze warmed Hai Fei's heart. Haha, good. Lead the way. Let's go together, Lu Ming said with a smile. The 3 of them immediately cut through the void and headed toward the ruin that Hai Fei had mentioned. There was a huge ruin hundreds of thousands of miles away from Lu Ming and the others. It was a group of palaces that looked very ancient. Some places were already in ruins. The palace complex was surrounded by formations. All kinds of killing formations, illusions, and reality overlapped. It was very dangerous. This place was first discovered by the geniuses of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and the Heavenly Corpse sect. However, they couldn't enter at all, and even lost many of their men in the arrays. In the end, they could only gather the nearby geniuses to break the arrays. In the end, more and more geniuses came. In the end, even the geniuses of the Sky Demon Valley joined in. However, they discovered that if they were to forcefully break through these formations, it was too difficult. Even if they were able to break through, it was unknown when they would be able to do so. Thus, they started to target the disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect and went everywhere to capture disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect. Outside the ruin, the geniuses of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, the Heavenly Corpse sect, and the Sky Demon Valley numbered more than 300. They surrounded the dozen or so disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect in the middle. All right, we've rested enough. Let's go and continue to break the arrays. Little Demon Lord Luo Li glared at the people of the Talisman Puppet sect. Don't even think about it. If you want to break the arrays, you can do it yourselves. We won't go again. In the past 3 days, we've already lost 6 of our senior and junior brothers trying to break the arrays. A clear voice rang out. Chapter 9:20. Not going? Sure, I'll kill all of you now. And you're as beautiful as a fairy. I don't mind giving you a good time. The Little Demon Lord's eyes were filled with evil fire as he stared at Bai Chi Shui. If it weren't for the fact that there were people from the Sky Corpse sect and Sky Demon Valley here, he would have killed Bai Chi Shui on the spot. Bai Chi Shui's face turned pale when she saw the Little Demon Lord's evil eyes. She didn't dare to make a sound. You, and you. The few of you go ahead and break the array. The Little Demon Lord pointed at 5 of them and said coldly. The 5 of them sighed with ugly expressions. They had no choice but to break the array. If they did, they might have a chance to live. If they didn't, they would be killed. Previously, 2 disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect had offended the little demon lord and had been cruelly killed by him. Who didn't know that the big and little demon lords of the Sky Emperor Divine Palace were cruel and merciless? The 5 disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect walked into the ruins, while the 3 factions of the Sky Emperor Divine Palace watched them closely. After a while, light began to shine inside. The disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect had started to break the array, but not long after, a scream was heard. What's going on? The little demon lord's voice spread far and wide. A disciple of the Talisman Puppet sect broke the array and was killed. A disciple of the Sky Emperor Divine Palace came to report. What trash! The little demon lord shouted coldly. Bai Qi Shui and the other disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect looked miserable. Among the 4 factions, the Talisman Puppet sect was the weakest. Now that the other 3 factions had joined forces to deal with them, they had no power to resist. These disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect are too weak. I'm afraid it'll be difficult for them to break the array. A youth in blood-red clothes and carrying a blood-red sword said coldly from the Sky Corps sect. His name was 7th Blood Sword, and he was ranked higher than the little demon lord on the list of top 1,000 talents. That's right. If we catch one of the 13 Zongzi candidates from the Talisman Puppet sect, our chances of breaking the array will be greatly increased. A genius from the Sky Demon Valley licked his lips. I wonder where those fellows are. I haven't seen a single one of them in the past few days. 7th Blood Sword said, That's right. The others nodded in agreement. As for the Talisman Puppet sect disciple that was killed while dealing with the formation, they didn't care at all. Moreover, they felt that the disciple was a piece of trash that couldn't even deal with the formation. While they were chatting, their expressions suddenly changed as they looked towards the eastern sky. 3 rainbow-colored lights flew over. The rainbow-colored lights dispersed, revealing 3 figures. It was Lu Ming, Haifei, and Lu Guang. Lu Ming, it's you, you bastard. Little demon Lord Luo Li was the first to speak, his eyes full of anger. Last time, he was actually injured by Lu Ming's puppet explosion. He wanted nothing more than to pull out Lu Ming's tendons and peel off his bones. He never thought that Lu Ming would suddenly appear here. Lu Ming, it's him and 2 other Talisman Puppet sect disciples. Ha ha! Someone actually delivered himself to my doorstep. The others cried out. This was especially so for the Sky Prides of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace and the Sky Demon Valley. When they looked at Lu Ming, their eyes were burning with passion. There was a huge reward for killing Lu Ming. Lu Ming, Lu Ming, why are you here? Hurry up and leave. They want to capture our Talisman Puppet sect disciples to help them break the array. Hurry up and leave. Upon seeing Lu Ming, Bai Qi Snow shouted anxiously. There were too many Sky Prides from the 3 forces here, and they were too strong. No matter how powerful Lu Ming was, he was no match for them. Lu Ming smiled at Bai Qi Snow. He scanned the surroundings, and killing intent flashed across his eyes. Swoosh, swoosh. In a flash, the Sky Prides of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace and the Sky Demon Valley moved. They appeared around Lu Ming, vaguely cutting off his escape route. Lu Ming, let's see where you can run this time. If I don't peel off your skin and pull out your tendons, my name is not Luo Li. Little demon, Lord looked coldly at Lu Ming. Don't you want to break the array here? Let me help you break it. Lu Ming glanced at little demon Lord indifferently and said, You can break it? Blood Sword 7's eyes lit up. Lu Ming stretched out his palm, and a ball of purple mind fire jumped in Lu Ming's palm. 7th grade inscription master. Even more people's eyes lit up. How about it? I can help you break the array, but I have a condition. Let go of the other talisman puppet sect disciples. Lu Ming said loudly. Let them go? Impossible. Lu Ming, what right do you have to negotiate with us? Little Demon, Lord said coldly. Haha, that's right. This Lu Ming is really an idiot. He actually delivered himself to us. Just as well. After we capture you, you will have to obediently help us break the array. A young man to the right of Lu Ming sneered. This young man was called Quan Fei, and he was also a peerless genius of Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. He was ranked 109 on the list of top 1,000 talents, and his cultivation had reached the peak of the first level of Spirit Embryo Realm. He was extremely powerful, and even though Lu Ming was a 7th grade inscription master, he was not afraid at all. He strode forward and closed in on Lu Ming. Obediently surrender and break the array for us. Quan Fei sneered and strode forward, striking a palm at Lu Ming. This palm was extremely powerful, and the enormous palm energy locked onto Lu Ming from all directions. Lu Ming turned and looked coldly at him. Scram! Suddenly, Lu Ming roared and took a step forward. Boom! The earth rumbled as Quan Fei's palm energy collapsed. Then, Lu Ming slapped out. Smack! A slap landed on Quan Fei's face, causing him to cry out in pain. His body flew thousands of meters away like a broken sack before crashing into the ground. He lay on the ground, continuously twitching. Gasps could be heard as everyone looked at Lu Ming in shock. One slap had sent Quan Fei, who was at the peak of the first level of Spirit Embryo Realm, flying. How could Lu Ming's battle power be so strong? Although Quan Fei had been careless and did not use bloodline fusion, Lu Ming's battle power was still extremely terrifying. How dare you injure a genius of Emperor Heaven Divine Palace? I'll cripple you now. Little Demon King was furious, and his demonic aura surged into the sky. He took a step forward and rushed towards Lu Ming. He slashed his palm in the air, and a terrifying blade, light, slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold, and he was not afraid at all. He exploded with a burst of dragon power, and a layer of scales covered his body as he punched forward. Boom! The fist light and the blade light clashed, and there was a violent explosion. Lu Ming and Little Demon King both took 3 steps back. Impossible! Little Demon King roared, and his voice was filled with disbelief. He had never expected Lu Ming to be able to push him back in one move, although he had not used his full strength in the previous attack. 4th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Little Demon King Luo Li was stronger than before. He had broken through to the 4th level of Spirit Embryo Realm, which was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming's current level. However, so what if it was 2 levels higher? Lu Ming was still confident. Around him, Blood Sword 7, Blood Sword 9, Distant Fire Sword Brother Distant Heaven, and the geniuses of Sky Demon Valley all had grave expressions. Chapter 921 by Qi, Shui, and the other disciples of Talisman Puppet Sect were also dumbfounded. Lu Ming was actually able to fight against Little Devil Lord Luo Li. This improvement was too great. Kill! Little Devil Lord roared as Devil Qi churned on his body. His blade light soared into the sky. Whoosh! The shocking blade light sliced through the air and slashed towards Lu Ming. This slash was a lot stronger than the previous one. Let's see how you block it. Little Devil Lord's cold voice rang out along with the blade light. Is that so? Lu Ming sneered and took a step forward. The aura on his body became even stronger as a second dragon force burst forth from his body. Boom! Just like before, a loud boom rang out as the energy rumbled. Bang! 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 This time, Little Devil Lord also retreated 3 steps, while Lu Ming only retreated 2 steps. Little Devil Lord was actually at a disadvantage. Everyone was astonished. Now, they could see that Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the 2nd level of Spirit Embryo Realm, while Little Devil Lord was at the 4th level. Lu Ming was actually able to surpass 2 levels and suppress Little Devil Lord. How was this possible? It was simply inconceivable. Who was Little Devil Lord? A genius among geniuses. Ah, die, die, I want you to die. 9 deaths, Devil Blade. Little Devil Lord roared as his killing intent surged like a tide. His blade light slashed out with terrifying devil might. With just you, it's still not enough. Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed towards Little Devil Lord. Another dragon force burst forth from his body. Lu Ming's strength became even stronger. Every punch caused the space to tremble violently as though it could break apart at any time. Lu Ming and Little Devil Lord fought fiercely, causing the entire area to tremble violently. Swoosh! The 2 of them fought from the ground to the sky, exchanging dozens of blows in the blink of an eye. Bang! Next, a figure fell from the sky and landed heavily on the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. It was Little Devil Lord Luo Li. He was injured, actually injured by Lu Ming. Lu Ming stood in the air, hovering in the air. His gaze was cold as he looked down at the little demon lord. Swoosh! Whoosh! At this time, Brother Blazing Heaven and the 2 powerful geniuses of the Sky Demon Valley moved and surrounded Lu Ming. Luoli, let's take down Lu Ming together. Li Tiangu said, That's right. There's no need to talk nonsense with him. The Sky Pride of the Sky Demon Valley added. Blood Swordsman 7 and Blood Swordsman 9 also looked at Lu Ming unkindly. Ha ha ha. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly burst into laughter. Lu Ming, what are you laughing at? Li Tian said coldly, Do you think you can take me down by joining hands? What a joke. If I really fight to the death, I have enough confidence to kill one of you. Lu Ming's cold gaze swept over Blazing Heaven Brothers group. For some reason, they felt a chill in their hearts when Lu Ming's gaze swept over them. They didn't doubt Lu Ming's words. Lu Ming and Little Devil Lord had fought just now, although Little Devil Lord hadn't used his full strength and hadn't used Bloodline Fusion. Lu Ming hadn't used Bloodline Fusion either. Moreover, none of them knew if Lu Ming had other trump cards that he hadn't used yet. If he had more powerful trump cards, it was still possible for him to kill one of them. Who would be willing to die together with Lu Ming? Thinking of this, their faces turned ugly. I've said that I'm here to cooperate this time. Let the disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect go, and I'll help you break the array. After that, the treasures inside will depend on your own abilities. How about that? If we really fight, no one will be able to get the treasures inside the ruins. Lu Ming said. This time, the scene fell into silence. The 7th blood sword, and the others wore solemn expressions as if they were in deep thought. Lu Ming wore a faint smile on his face. This was strength. Only when one was powerful could they talk about cooperation. Right now, Lu Ming had already displayed his powerful strength. Without strength, it would be a joke to talk about cooperation with him, as they would be suppressed by him immediately. It's impossible to let the disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect go. If we really let them go, we might not be able to stop you no matter what tricks you try. Li Tiangu said, That's right, we can't let them go, but we can ask them to help you break the array. Li Tiangu said, If the disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect were to help Lu Ming break the array. They would be on guard in the surroundings. This way, Lu Ming wouldn't be able to pull any tricks. All right, let's do it. Let the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect come here, and let the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect who are trying to break the array go. Lu Ming said. Li Tiange and the others nodded. They then let the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect come to Lu Ming's side. Zongzi. Lu Ming Zongzi. The disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect came to Lu Ming's side and looked at Lu Ming with gratitude. Lu Ming nodded. He casually looked to the front and said coldly, "There's one more person. Why don't you let her go?" Bai Qi Shui was still in their hands. "We can't let this girl go. I can see that she has a special relationship with you. In order to prevent you from pulling any tricks, we have to keep her in our hands." Little Demon Lord walked to Bai Qi Shui's side and said with a cunning smile. Lu Ming's eyes flickered coldly. These people were all geniuses with deep thoughts and meticulous thoughts. Of course, they wouldn't completely trust Lu Ming. "All right, let's go break the array now," Lu Ming said, and strode into the ruins. The other disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect followed closely behind him. "Let's go. Don't let him pull any tricks." Little Demon Lord said, murderous intent flashing in his eyes. He hated Lu Ming to the core. The geniuses of the Sky Demon Valley and the Heavenly Corpse Sect also nodded. The three parties left a few people outside to keep watch. They all moved and followed Lu Ming's group. Little Demon Lord even took action personally. His fingers clasped Bai Qi Shui's shoulder, not giving her a chance to escape. After a few thousand meters, Lu Ming stopped. In front was the area densely covered with arrays. This area was about 10,000 meters deep. After crossing this area, they would reach the core of the palace. In other words, this 10,000-meter area was densely covered with arrays. Lu Ming lightly stepped on the ground. Rows of inscriptions slithered forward like small snakes. In the next moment, complex arrays appeared on the ground in front of him, shining with a 7-colored light. Lu Ming's eyes stared at those arrays without blinking. He looked for the weaknesses of the arrays and thought of a way to break them. After a while, he stretched out his finger and waved it in the air. Inscriptions flew forward and entered those arrays. Pung, pung. Suddenly, several arrays collapsed, turning into light and dissipating. Brother Blazing Heaven, Seventh Blood Sword, and the other's eyes lit up. In just a short while, Lu Ming had broken several arrays. There was hope for them. At the same time, their eyes revealed a dignified expression. Lu Ming's level of inscription was above their imagination. "Luoli, keep a close eye on that woman. This Lu Ming is well versed in the Tao of arrays. We have to be careful and prevent him from playing any tricks." Chapter 9:22. I know. Don't worry. With me watching her, Lu Ming won't have a chance. Luoli nodded. Zongzi is amazing. The disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect looked at Lu Ming with admiration. Some of them had been cracking the formations here for a few days and knew how difficult it was to crack them. In the past few days, many disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect had been killed by the formations. However, Lu Ming had only been here for a short while, and he had already cracked a few formations. They knew that Lu Ming was much better than them in terms of formations. Lu Ming continued to observe. This time, he spent less time. He waved his fingers, and another array formation in front of him collapsed. Lu Ming discovered that the array formations that appeared in the world of the Battle of Providence would not be particularly advanced or difficult. There would not be array formations that were far beyond their capabilities. It was as if they were doing it on purpose to give them a chance to gain experience. Lu Ming was very curious about the Battle of Providence. He had a feeling that there was a pair of invisible hands behind the scenes that were manipulating everything. He shook his head. These were not things that he could think about now. It was useless to think about it. It was said that the Battle of Providence was going on in the other continents. What was the use of thinking about such a powerful ability to control the land of infinity to carry out the Battle of Providence? Even martial emperors would obediently nurture the geniuses of their sex to obtain luck. Did those martial emperors not want to find out the secret behind it? Of course they wanted to, but they did not have the ability. Lu Ming shook off the distracting thoughts in his mind and continued to crack the formations. His speed of breaking the formation was very fast. As he broke the formation, he walked in just a day's time. They had advanced 3,000 meters. The little demon lord and the others followed closely behind Lu Ming. Their eyes were shining with a fiery light. This ruin was filled with so many formations. It was definitely extraordinary. The treasures inside were definitely extraordinary. If they could obtain them, it would be a great opportunity. Furthermore, the Providence points would be very high. They were all looking forward to it. However, Lu Ming's speed of breaking the formation slowed down. The deeper he went, the more complicated the formation became, and the harder it was to break it. After that, it took them 2 days to advance another 3 kilometers. He was still 4,000 meters away from the palaces. Lu Ming spent a total of 5 days on the final 4,000 meters. From start to finish, Lu Ming had already broken the formation for 8 consecutive days. At this moment, they were only about 100 meters away from the palaces. But here they stopped. In front of them, the formation shone brightly. Flames, ice, lightning, and poisonous gas flickered continuously, blocking their line of sight. They couldn't see what was in front of them at all. Lu Ming had been standing there for 3 whole hours. Lu Ming, what are you doing? Why haven't you broken the formation yet? Little demon lord berated. I can't break the formation here. Lu Ming shook his head. You can't break it? Little demon lord, and the others were stunned. Lu Ming, you better think of a way to break it. Otherwise, none of your talisman puppet sect can leave. You will all die here. Little demon lord said coldly. Idiot! Lu Ming looked at little demon lord and suddenly berated. What? What did you say? You bastard, what did you say? Little demon lord roared. Lu Ming actually called him an idiot. His anger soared. If you're not an idiot, then what are you? I said that I can't break it, but it doesn't mean that we can't enter. In the Tao of formations, there is life and death. As long as we find the path of life, there is no need to break it. If you don't even know this common sense, then what are you if you're not an idiot? Lu Ming sneered. Little demon lord's face flushed red, and he almost vomited blood. If not for the fact that he needed Lu Ming now, he would have killed Lu Ming with a palm. Bastard, just you wait. After entering the palace, I will kill all the disciples of the talisman puppet sect and enjoy this woman in front of you. Little demon lord roared in his heart, his eyes incomparably cold. Lu Ming, you've been watching for so long. Do you see where the path of life is? Brother Blazing Heaven asked. Over there. Lu Ming pointed forward. The expressions of Brother Blazing Heaven and the others changed. Lu Ming, are you joking? Brother Blazing Heaven said with a sullen face. This was because the direction that Lu Ming was pointing at was a sea of fire. Terrifying flames were burning. Just one look at it was terrifying. That is the path of life. If you don't believe me, you can send people ahead and try. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Humph. Do you think we're stupid? Let the people of the talisman puppet sect go first. Little demon lord said coldly. That's right. Let the people of the talisman puppet sect Go first. Seventh Blood Sword said coldly. Lu Ming's expression turned ugly. You guys go first. Lu Ming said to the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect. The disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect looked at each other, fear in their eyes, as they looked at the flames in front of them. Let's go. Zongzi won't harm us. Hai Fei took the lead and walked forward, followed by Lu Guang. Then, the other disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect followed and stepped into the sea of flames. The moment they stepped into the sea of flames twisted, and the figures of the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect disappeared. It is indeed the path of life. Hurry up and follow them. Don't let the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect escape. Little Demon Lord quickly ordered. A few of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace's geniuses led a dozen men of sacrifice and rushed into the sea of flames. But the moment they rushed into the sea of flames, they let out miserable screams as they were burned by the flames and turned into ashes in the blink of an eye. The power of the flames was extremely terrifying. What's going on? Damn it, Lu Ming, you cheated. You're courting death. Little Demon Lord immediately roared. Brother Blazing Heaven, Seventh Blood Sword, and the others also emitted a terrifying killing intent that enveloped Lu Ming. What do you mean by I cheated? You're just too anxious. The array here is overlapping and constantly changing. The path of life is also constantly changing. It was a path of life just now, but now it's a path of death. It's normal, Lu Ming said with a faint smile. Why didn't you say so earlier? Little Demon Lord roared. You didn't ask me? Why should I tell you? Also, didn't I tell your people to go first? I originally planned to let a group of your people go in first and wait for the path of life to change and find another path of life to enter. You were the one who insisted on letting the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect go first. Then, before I could say anything, your people rushed forward. Who's to blame? Lu Ming curled his lips and looked at Little Demon Lord with disdain. Little Demon Lord was so angry that his body trembled. All right, Lu Ming, why don't you find another path of life? Brother Blazing Heaven said with a frown. At the same time, they watched Bai Chi Snow even more closely. Now, the Talisman Puppet Sect only had Bai Chi Snow in their hands. Lu Ming continued to watch. After a while, he pointed at a place full of lightning and said, That's the path of life. Let's go from there. You guys go first. Little Demon Lord pointed at a few men of sacrifice. If you want to go, go more. Don't go in a few. The more this array operates, the more changes there will be. After a while, even I won't be able to break it. Chapter 9:23. All of you go together. Don't worry, with us here, he won't dare to play any tricks. The Little Demon Lord pointed at some of the geniuses. As for Blood Sword 7 and the geniuses of Sky Monster Valley, they also arranged for a group of people to follow Lu Ming's directions and rush in. Sure enough, nothing happened. As soon as these people rushed into the Thunder area, their figures flashed and they all vanished. As a result, the complexions of Brother Blazing Heaven and the others improved a bit. Then, Lu Ming continued to look around, looking for a way out. After a while, Lu Ming pointed at an area covered in ice and said, Let's go this way. However, the Little Demon Lord, Brother Blazing Heaven, Blood Sword 7, and the others didn't move. These strongest geniuses didn't trust Lu Ming. If what Lu Ming said was false, wouldn't they die an unjust death if they went in? Although they had Bai Chi Snow in their hands, when it came to their own lives, they naturally had to be cautious. I think that it's best if we go in together. The Little Demon Lord looked at Lu Ming and slowly pushed Bai Chi Snow forward. Brother Blazing Heaven and the others nodded. This was for the best. If there was a trap, then Lu Ming and Bai Qi Snow would be in danger. That's for the best. You and Qi Shui go first, and I'll go in the middle. You can rest easy like this. Lu Ming took several steps back, as if he wanted to step aside. Good. Lu Ming, you better not play any tricks, otherwise both of you will die. The little demon lord coldly said. He held Bai Qi Snow's shoulder and walked forward. Lu Ming stood there, motionless. Only then did the little demon lord relax and walk towards the ice area. Whoosh, whoosh. At this time, the ground began to shine. At some unknown time, an array formation had appeared. Several sharp sword energies pierced towards the little demon lord's forehead, their speed as fast as lightning. The little demon lord's heart had just relaxed, so he didn't expect this move. He subconsciously let go and retreated in order to protect himself. Whoosh! At this time, Lu Ming moved. His body was like a stream of light as he charged at the little demon lord. His terrifying fist energy was like a storm as it bombarded the little demon lord. Lu Ming! The little demon lord roared and slashed out with his saber. Bang! The little demon lord retreated again and again. Damn it, block the exit. Brother Blazing Heaven, Blood Sword 7, Blood Sword 9, and the Sky Monster Valley's Sky Prides all roared. Among them, one of the Sky Prides from the Sky Monster Valley was the fastest and was the closest to the ice area. His figure flashed and appeared at the entrance of the ice area, preventing Lu Ming from entering. As for the others, they all made their moves and charged towards Lu Ming. Brother Blazing Heaven, Blood Sword 7, Blood Sword 9, and the prodigies of the demon race from Sky Demon Valley were all at the 4th level of Spirit Embryo Realm, especially Brother Blazing Heaven and Blood Sword 7, who had reached the peak of the 4th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. With everyone joining hands, their power was terrifying, as if they wanted to crush Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming did not hesitate and directly exploded with 5 dragon forces. His body was filled with power. Qi Shui, go to the poison area. True essence burst forth as Lu Ming pulled by Qi Shui and pushed her into the poison area. No one stopped them in front of the poison area. Lu Ming had said that the ice area was the way out, but that was a lie. In fact, the poison area was the way out. His goal was to distract the other party. Bai Qi Shui's figure entered the poison area and disappeared. No one stopped her at all. Damn it! Brother Blazing Heaven and the others knew that they had been tricked. Boom! Boom! While pushing Bai Qi Shui away, Lu Ming threw out a few punches to stop Brother Blazing Heaven and the others, stalling for time and waiting for the way out. Everyone attacked each other, and the terrifying light drowned Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body shook violently as he retreated. Ah, damn it, stop him! Little Demon Lord roared and rushed towards Lu Ming. This was the truth. He did not dare to rush into the poison area. Who knew if the way out had changed? He could only take down Lu Ming and ask him to lead the way. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming took a step forward, and an array appeared. Then he threw out a series of punches, sending out a terrifying fist energy. His array and martial arts combined to stop the other Sky Prides. Lu Ming, you can't leave today. So what if you saved the people of the Talisman Puppet Sect? You have to stay here too. Brother Blazing Heaven's eyes were cold as a flaming sword condensed in his hand, emitting a shocking heat. This was the Leaf Fire, an extremely terrifying flame that was not inferior to the Wong family's pure purple heavenly fire. At the same time, Blood Sword 7 and Blood Sword 9's bodies were covered in blood red light. The blood red sword light emitted a strong smell of blood as it cut through the void and slashed towards Lu Ming. A sky pride from the heavenly demon valley turned into a fierce tiger and clawed at him. At the same time, little demon lord and a sky pride from the heavenly demon tribe also attacked. The 6 sky prides worked together, and their power was shocking. The 6 of them attacked Lu Ming from different directions. Lu Ming didn't take the attack head-on. He directly rushed towards Bloodsword 9, who looked the weakest. Boom! A punch landed on the blood-colored sword Gleam. Bloodsword 9's body shook violently, and he continued to retreat. Lu Ming took big strides forward. His figure flashed continuously, avoiding the attacks of the various prodigies and dashing toward the Thunderbolt area at top speed. Oh no, the lightning area is the way out. He wants to go in. Stop him. Li Tianhe roared. Roar. That ferocious tiger roared. With a kick of its 4 legs, it pounced toward Lu Ming at lightning speed. However, Lu Ming's body paused, and he suddenly retreated, avoiding the ferocious tiger's attack and dodging to the other side. Stay here. Little Demon King hollered furiously. A pitch-black saber gleam slashed toward Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's body paused again. He dodged Little Demon Lord's attack like a slippery loach and dodged to the other side. He was extremely agile and dodged left and right. He didn't want to fight them head-on. In addition, they had to guard against the array in front of them to prevent Lu Ming from breaking out. They couldn't do anything to Lu Ming. Damn it! The 6 sky prides were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. As for the others, they couldn't stop Lu Ming at all. After being hit by Lu Ming, their bones were broken and their tendons were broken. Swish! Lu Ming's figure flashed again, and he dashed toward the flame area. They thought that the fire area was the way out and tried to stop him. However, Lu Ming suddenly turned and rushed towards the poisonous area. This time, Lu Ming shook them off and stepped into the poisonous area. In a flash, his figure disappeared. This is the way out. Rush in. The green-robed young man from Sky Demon Valley was the fastest. He followed Lu Ming and rushed into the poisonous area. However, as soon as he rushed into the poisonous area, he immediately let out a scream and turned into a green divine eagle. He burst out with all his strength and rushed out. However, his body was green and he was poisoned. If it weren't for his high cultivation and powerful combat strength, he would have died inside. Obviously, the reason why Lu Ming was running around with them just now was to calculate the time. He had calculated the time. When the poisonous area was about to become the way out, Lu Ming rushed in. When the green-robed young man followed him in, the way out had changed into a dead end. Lu Ming had calculated all of this. Ah, damn Lu Ming, bastard, beast, I will kill you. Chapter 9:24. The others also had ugly expressions. So many of them were watching, but in the end, Lu Ming still managed to save all the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect. They couldn't even stop Lu Ming himself. If news of this spread out, they would lose a lot of face. Since the paths of life and death are constantly changing, let's try them one by one. After all, there are only 9 areas. Brother Blazing Heaven said coldly, "Yes, that's the only way. You go to the fire area, and you go to the ice area." Immediately, Blood Sword 17 began to instruct the men of sacrifice. The 9 areas were constantly changing. That was easy. As long as 9 men of sacrifice stepped into the 9 areas at the same time, they would know which area was the path of life. The 9 death warriors stepped into 9 different areas at the same time without hesitation. Immediately, 8 of them died. Only one survived in an area covered in black fog. With a flash, he disappeared without a trace. The path of life is there. Let's go. Little Demon Lord and the others all rushed into the black fog area and disappeared. After Lu Ming stepped into the poisonous area, he appeared in front of a palace in the next moment. In all directions, there was not a single person. The disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect and the disciples of the other forces were nowhere to be seen. It seems that the teleportation array was randomly teleported to every corner of the palace complex. Lu Ming thought, "I hope Qi Shui and the others don't encounter Little Demon Lord." And the others. Lu Ming knew that the formation couldn't stop Little Demon Lord and the others. He only needed to send 9 people to give it a try. Immediately, Lu Ming looked around. What entered his eyes were palaces everywhere. There were some small alleys between the palaces. Then, Lu Ming walked into the palace in front of him. There was nothing in the palace. It was empty. Shaking his head, Lu Ming walked along a small alley and walked towards the other palaces. However, after walking for a while, he frowned. He found that he had stepped into a formation. This formation was like a maze. After walking in the alley for a while, he returned to the original place. There was also a formation in this palace. Instead of being surprised, Lu Ming was happy. It was good to have a formation. It was an advantage for the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect. Even if they encountered Little Demon Lord and the others, they might still have a chance to escape. Immediately, Lu Ming carefully observed his surroundings. After a while, Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. He walked forward with mysterious steps, 1 to the east and 2 steps to the west. Half an hour later, he walked out of the maze formation. In front of him, a huge palace appeared in front of him. The palace's gate was tightly. Lu Ming went forward and pushed the door. The door opened, and Lu Ming walked in. The palace was empty, but there was a stone door in the innermost part. Lu Ming walked to the gate. Whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly, there was a sharp piercing sound from both sides. 2 rays of saber gleams slashed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body moved and dodged backwards, dodging the 2 blade lights. However, the 2 blade lights continued to slash towards Lu Ming. Puppets! At this moment, Lu Ming discovered that the ones attacking him were 2 puppets. The 2 puppets were in human form. Their bodies had a metallic luster, and their eyes were golden. They were filled with a cold and merciless aura. Each of them had a huge blade in their hands as they slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming circulated hell-suppressing heavenly technique, and 4 kinds of conceptions swirled around his palm as he struck out twice. Clang! Clang! 2 loud clangs rang out as the 2 puppets were forced back by Lu Ming's strikes, equivalent to the peak of the 3rd level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The 2 puppets were forced back by Lu Ming. With a stomp of their feet, they rushed towards Lu Ming again. Swoosh! Lu Ming dodged and struck out with 2 more palms. These 2 palms directly struck the 2 puppets, and the 2 puppets were smashed into pieces. Lu Ming took big strides forward and walked towards the stone door. No puppets came out to stop him. Lu Ming pushed open the stone door, and in front of him was a stone room. In front of the stone room, there was another stone door. However, when Lu Ming stepped into the stone room, 2 more puppets appeared and attacked Lu Ming. This time, the 2 puppets' abilities had reached the 4th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. They were still easily dealt with by Lu Ming. Lu Ming went forward and pushed open the stone door. Behind the stone door, there was another stone room. In front of the stone room, there was another stone door. This time, there were a total of 9 puppets at the 4th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. What's in front? This stage is extremely similar to a test. I want to take a look. Lu Ming's thoughts turned rapidly, and he burst forth with attacks. In a short while, The 9 puppets were scattered by him. As expected, there were stone rooms below, and in every stone room, there were puppets. Furthermore, their abilities were getting stronger and stronger. When Lu Ming walked to the 9th stone room, the puppets that appeared had already reached the 6th level of spirit embryo realm. However, they still couldn't stop Lu Ming, and were defeated by Lu Ming one by one. After the 9th stone room, there were no more stone rooms. Instead, there was a passageway. On both sides of the passageway, there were metallic puppets standing motionlessly with battle knives in their hands. Nest, and also, what realm are the puppets here at? They can't all be at the 7th level of spirit embryo realm, right? Lu Ming thought speechlessly. He slowly walked forward. Kacha! Suddenly, a puppet moved. Its cold eyes that were emitting a metallic luster looked towards Lu Ming. Bang! It took a step forward, and the battle knife in its hand emitted a sharp glow as it slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming burst forth with 5 rays of dragon energy and punched the puppet. Bang! A dull sound rang out, and the puppet retreated 6 to 7 steps back. Lu Ming also retreated 6 to 7 steps back. Nest, this is definitely a puppet at the peak of the 7th level of spirit embryo realm. What powerful strength! Lu Ming was secretly astonished. Your abilities are not bad to actually be able to force me back. At this moment, the puppet actually opened its mouth. However, its voice was cold and emotionless. What's inside? Lu Ming asked. There's an important treasure inside. Along the way, there are tests. Our abilities will be adjusted according to the abilities of the people who enter. The stronger the person, the stronger our abilities will be. Only if you pass the tests can you obtain the important treasure inside. The puppet opened its mouth, and similarly, it was emotionless. So many puppets at the peak of the 7th level of spirit embryo realm. How can I defeat them all? Are you messing with me? Lu Ming looked at the 2 sides of the passageway. There were over 100 puppets in total, and he was speechless. With his current battle power, how was it possible for him to defeat over 100 puppets at the peak of the 7th level of spirit embryo realm? If he burst forth with his strongest battle power and circulated the suppressing Hell Heavenly technique to the maximum, it was still possible for him to defeat 2 to 3 puppets. However, after that, he would run out of vital essence and be unable to fight anymore. This test was too difficult. He was only at the 2nd level of spirit embryo realm, and the puppets that appeared were at the 7th level of spirit embryo realm. How many people could cross 5 levels? You don't need to defeat all of us. You just need to pass through this passageway. Chapter 9:25. I just need to pass through? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Passing through and defeating them were 2 different concepts. If he only needed to pass through, it would be much easier. Lu Ming carefully looked at the passage in front of him. Suddenly, he waved his finger, and various inscription formations spread out from his body. They were all auxiliary types. Together with the formations, Lu Ming's strength increased again. He moved and rushed toward the passage. He planned to catch the puppets off guard and rush through the passage in one fell swoop. However, the puppets seemed to have known that he was going to attack. When Lu Ming moved, the puppets also moved. Sharp saber light slashed toward Lu Ming. On both sides of the passage, the other puppets also looked at Lu Ming with cold eyes. Nest, you're so fast. Since the surprise attack failed, Lu Ming could only use his real strength to break through. Swish! His figure flashed and avoided the saber light of the first puppet. He flashed past it, but what greeted him was more saber light. Lu Ming punched continuously and collided with the sabers that were slashing toward him. The powerful force made Lu Ming's body tremble, and the saber light was also repelled by Lu Ming. Swish! Lu Ming used the 9 dragons' sky-stomping steps and rushed forward. Unfortunately, the space was too narrow. The power of the 9 dragons' sky-stomping steps could not be unleashed. As soon as he moved, the saber light in front of him slashed toward him. Lu Ming was surrounded, and all the space was sealed. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and could only keep punching forward. Although he had the help of the formation, it was still very difficult to advance. These puppets were made of strange metals. They were invulnerable and extremely hard. The most amazing thing was that they could use martial arts. A puppet was more difficult to deal with than a human warrior of the same level. Lu Ming kept attacking, but he only broke through the encirclement of more than 10 puppets. There were still 80 or 90 puppets in front of him. I don't believe that I can't break through. Lu Ming gritted his teeth. With a dragon roar, the 9 dragons' bloodline appeared. Lu Ming used bloodline fusion and turned into a 2-meter-long 9 dragons. The 9 dragon claws slashed out in all directions, knocking away the saber lights. The battle prowess of the 9 dragons had increased once more, and the speed of their charge had increased once more. Boom, boom, boom. Terrifying rumbling sounds could be heard coming from the tunnel, echoing unceasingly in the tunnel. Half an hour later, Lu Ming finally managed to dash through the passageway. As soon as they passed through the tunnel, the puppets calmed down and stood motionless on both sides of the tunnel. "I'm so tired." Lu Ming sat on the ground, gasping for air. Lu Ming had exhausted all his quintessence to charge through this tunnel. Fortunately, he had clenched his teeth and charged through in the end. Otherwise, he would have vomited blood. This was way too difficult. How could ordinary geniuses pass this test? However, Lu Ming's heart began to look forward to it. The greater the difficulty, the greater the harvest. What treasures would there be in here? Earlier, that puppet had said that there were great treasures in here. Lu Ming's eyes blazed with a fiery light. I should recover my quintessence first. Lu Ming took out a pile of origin stones and started recovering his quintessence. 3 hours later, Lu Ming's quintessence had recovered to its peak, brimming with energy. Following that, Lu Ming stepped forward. Buzz! Before Lu Ming had even walked a few dozen meters, densely packed inscriptions appeared on the ground, forming a large formation. Many flaming flood dragons condensed and pounced at Lu Ming. There is still a test. Is there an end to it? Lu Ming felt so depressed that he was about to vomit blood. He could only clench his fists and continuously attack. Boom, boom. After several explosions, Lu Ming retreated frantically. This formation is very strong. It is even stronger than that puppet from before. How am I supposed to pass this? Retreating a few steps, Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a grave expression. The flood dragons condensed by the formation were too strong. They surpassed the peak of the 7th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Furthermore, this was only one formation that had appeared. There were definitely more formations ahead. This test was truly too difficult. Wait, I don't have to force my way through the formation. I can use the path of inscriptions to break it. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Spirit formations were different from puppets. Those puppets were practically impossible to control, but spirit formations could be broken. Immediately, Lu Ming looked at it carefully. After a while, he waved his hands, and inscriptions appeared, disappearing into the formation. With a bang, the formation collapsed. Lu Ming stepped forward, but in front of him, another formation appeared. Lu Ming continued to inscribe inscriptions to break it. However, at this moment, under his feet, where he had just broken the formation, another formation appeared. Damn, didn't I already break it? Why is there a new one appearing? Lu Ming was depressed. He could only continue to inscribe inscriptions to speed up the cracking. Bang! The formation in front had collapsed, but the formation behind had attacks coming. Lu Ming could only use all his strength to block the attacks of the formation and break it at the same time. Just as he was breaking, the formation that was broken in front of him appeared again. Lu Ming really wanted to vomit blood. Once the formation was broken, it would condense again. How was he going to deal with it? He had no choice but to grit his teeth and continue to break it. Just like this, Lu Ming blocked and broke it at the same time. This process lasted for a total of 6 hours. Lu Ming was already half dead from exhaustion. His true essence was severely depleted, and even his spiritual fire was almost completely depleted. This won't do. This formation is simply endless. After breaking one, another one will appear. It's impossible to break it all. It's better for me to retreat. Once my true essence is depleted, it will be dangerous. Lu Ming's mind raced. At this time, Lu Ming suddenly realized that the formation that he had just broken did not reappear. Could it be that the energy to activate the formation has been exhausted, and I can't continue to condense the formation? Lu Ming's eyes suddenly lit up, revealing a look of excitement. Immediately, he continued to break the formation. Sure enough, the formations that he had broken after that did not reappear. Since they did not reappear, it was much easier for Lu Ming. Soon, all the formations were broken by Lu Ming. Lu Ming stepped into a secret room. No, I'm exhausted. I'd better rest and recover first. Lu Ming gasped for breath and sat cross-legged. He took out the origin stone and began to adjust his breathing. A few hours later, his true essence was completely recovered. However, his spiritual fire was still very dim. Just now, his spiritual fire was severely depleted and was almost completely depleted. Lu Ming operated the underworld god observation and began to recover his spiritual fire. In this world, not only was the spiritual energy of heaven and earth incomparably rich, but the concept of heaven and earth was also very clear. Even sensing the inscription law was many times easier. Running the spirit cultivation method could easily absorb the inscription power of the inscription law and increase the intensity of the spiritual fire. Half a day later, Lu Ming's spiritual fire became vigorous again and completely recovered. At this time, Lu Ming stood up and looked around the secret room. This time, there were no puppets or formations blocking him. He seemed to have reached the end. Chapter 9:26. Could it be that this is the treasure inside? Lu Ming's eyes sparkled, revealing a look of anticipation. Lu Ming strode forward and observed for a while. After confirming that there was no danger, Lu Ming reached out and grabbed the painting. What kind of treasure is this? Lu Ming looked at it and found that it looked very ordinary. Then he opened the painting. The first thing that entered his eyes was a line of words: Grotto Heaven Treasure, Mountain River Painting. Seeing this line of words, Lu Ming's heart started beating faster, and his breathing became rapid. Grotto Heaven Treasure. It's actually the legendary Grotto Heaven Treasure. Legend had it that Grotto Heaven treasures contained a grotto heaven that formed another world. In other words, Grotto Heaven treasures contained a world with mountains, rivers, wind, rain, thunder, and lightning. It was like a small world where living beings could enter and live and cultivate. In the divine wilderness continent, there were only legends of Grotto Heaven treasures, but no one had ever seen one. Even those Emperor Path powerhouses did not have one. Lu Ming hurriedly opened the painting completely. The painting was more than 2 meters long, and a vast painting appeared in front of Lu Ming. A vast mountain range with peaks that towered into the clouds was endless. It was like a real world that came into view. At this moment, Lu Ming's heart stirred, and the Book of Providence appeared in front of him. A line of words appeared on the Book of Providence. Obtained Grotto Heaven treasure, Mountain River painting. Luck points increased by 100,000. Lu Ming's heart thumped again. After obtaining the Mountain River painting, his luck points increased by 100,000. It was simply terrifying. One had to know that Lu Ming had only obtained more than 10,000 luck points in the past 2 months. Then, another line of words appeared on the Book of Providence. Only condensed with blood can it be used. It should be referring to the Mountain River painting. With a thought, the Book of Providence disappeared. Lu Ming looked at the Mountain River painting for a while, then forced a few drops of blood from his fingertip and dripped it on the Mountain River painting. When the blood landed on the Mountain River painting, it was immediately absorbed by the painting and disappeared. Then Lu Ming injected his true essence and began to refine the Mountain River painting. All treasures had to be refined before they could be used. The Mountain River painting was undoubtedly a treasure among treasures. It was very difficult to refine it. For the next half a month, Lu Ming was refining the Mountain River painting. Moreover, every day, Lu Ming needed to drip a drop of blood and use it as a medium to refine it. Half a month, the Mountain River painting, emitting a mysterious light was. Slowly, the radiance grew brighter and brighter. In the end, the Mountain River diagram actually shrank rapidly, flew into the area between Lu Ming's eyebrows, and disappeared. The Mountain River diagram was finally completely refined and flew into Lu Ming's sea of consciousness. With a thought, the Mountain River was the Mountain River painting. I'll try it. He was the Mountain River, was the mountain is the mountain of the Mountain River is of the U, the is the Mountain River, was the time of the Mountain River, that was the Mountain River Ming-s. However, Lu Ming's body appeared on top of a mountain peak. Standing at the top of the mountain, Zhang Xian gazed into the distance. What entered his eyes were vast mountains, ancient trees, and the fragrance of flowers wafted into his nostrils. Is this the world inside the Mountain River painting? It's no different from the real world, and the spirit qi is also rich. Lu Ming discovered that the spirit qi here was also very rich. The Mountain River painting seemed to be absorbing the spirit qi of the outside world all the time. Let's see how big the border of the Mountain River painting is. Lu Ming rose into the air, turned into a stream of light, and disappeared in the sky. Not long after, Lu Ming flew to the end. There was chaos in front of him. Obviously, he had reached the border of the Mountain River painting. Then, Lu Ming turned around and flew to the other side of the border. After that, Lu Ming made a big circle in the Mountain River painting. East, west, north, and south. It's about 100,000 miles away. Lu Ming whispered with a hint of excitement in his eyes. This area was naturally incomparable to the vast divine wilderness continent. It was like a grain of sand, but Lu Ming was already very happy. This was because he carried this world with him everywhere. Moreover, the area was not small. It was even larger than the Burning Sun Empire. There was also spirit qi here, and he could also comprehend the will of heaven and earth. He could also sense the inscription laws. Such a treasure was simply a creation of heaven and earth. In the past, Supreme Nine Suns Temple of Paragon also had an internal space that people could enter. However, it was very small, and the area was very limited. There was no spirit qi of heaven and earth, and he could not sense the will of heaven and earth or the inscription laws. Compared to the Mountain River painting, it was many times worse. This was a peerless treasure. In a battle of karmic luck, there were indeed great fortunes and opportunities. No wonder all the geniuses were willing to risk their lives to participate in the battle of providence. However, other than plants, there are no other living creatures, demonic beasts, ordinary beasts, or spiritual herbs. I still need to slowly replenish them later. Lu Ming thought to himself, let's pluck some spiritual herbs first. Lu Ming smiled. With a wave of his hand, a large amount of spiritual herbs appeared. There were low-grade and high-grade spiritual herbs. Lu Ming's figure flickered as he planted spiritual herbs on the nearby mountain peaks. 3 days later, Lu Ming planted thousands of spirit herbs on various mountain peaks and mountain ranges. Of course, for a distance of 100,000 miles, thousands of spirit herbs were just a drop in the ocean. Forget it, I'll slowly do it in the future. I've spent enough time here. Let's go somewhere else. I wonder how the other disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect are doing. With a thought, Lu Ming exited the mountain river painting. The mountain river painting glowed and disappeared into Lu Ming's glabella. Then Lu Ming walked out. When he exited, there were no obstructions, and he passed through easily. After a while, Lu Ming came out of the place and arrived outside the palace. He continued to walk in the small alley among the palaces. Next, he entered a few more palaces, but he didn't find anything. The palaces were empty. Half a day later, Lu Ming obtained a few bottles of pills in a side hall that seemed to be an alchemy room. The spirit congealing pill was a pill that could nourish the mind and condense the spirit fire. Lu Ming was delighted. Previously, he was forced to break through to the 7th rank due to the situation. His spirit fire was somewhat unstable, and there were side effects that required a large amount of time to recover. However, with the spirit congealing pill, he could recover in a short period of time without leaving behind any side effects. It seemed like this place was specially designed to test inscriptionists. Lu Ming speculated. Lu Ming continued to walk forward. Suddenly, the sound of fighting came from the front. There were people fighting. Lu Ming hurriedly ran forward. In front, 2 disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect were fleeing in panic. Behind them, a youth covered in dense demonic aura was chasing them. It was the little demon lord. He was chasing 2 disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect. You can't escape. Everyone from the Talisman Puppet Sect should die. The little demon lord's killing intent burst forth. He took a large step forward, and a black blade light slashed towards one of the Talisman Puppet Sect disciples. The 2 disciples took out their puppets and inscription talismans to block, but it was useless. They were directly split apart by the little demon lord's blade. Puchi! The blade light slashed down, and a Talisman Puppet Sect disciple was split into 2. Little demon lord, Lu Ming Zongzi won't let you off. Chapter 927. Whoosh! Little devil lord's figure flashed as he chased after the Talisman Puppet Sect disciple. With a claw, he destroyed all of the Talisman Puppet Sect disciples' attacks. Then, he grabbed the Talisman Puppet Sect disciple's throat and lifted him high into the air. Lu Ming, I'm telling you, don't let me touch him. Otherwise, I'll make sure he dies a horrible death. Little demon lord's face was extremely ferocious. He hated Lu Ming to the core. You'd better let him go. Otherwise, I guarantee that you'll be the one who dies a horrible death. At this moment, a voice suddenly rang out as Lu Ming walked out from an alley. Lu Ming Zongzi. The Talisman Puppet Sect disciple revealed a joyful expression. Little demon lord spat out the 2 words one by one. His voice was incomparably cold. He was a little surprised. He didn't expect to bump into Lu Ming just as he was talking about him. Lu Ming's gaze swept across. When he saw the Talisman Puppet Sect disciple being killed, his eyes revealed a trace of gloominess. Lu Ming, aren't you going to save him? Let's see how you're going to save him. Hee. Little demon lord sneered. He suddenly exerted strength in his hand, and with a crack, he crushed the Talisman Puppet Sect disciple to death. Boom! A berserk aura exploded from Lu Ming's body. A cold killing intent burst out and enveloped little demon Lord. Luali, you'll die today. Lu Ming's eyes were incomparably cold. He looked at little demon Lord as if he was looking at a dead man. Lu Ming, don't think that you can kill me. I didn't use my full strength last time. It's still unknown who will emerge victorious. A powerful aura also exploded from little demon Lord's body. A black demonic aura soared into the sky. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming strode forward. The 5 dragon energies in his body erupted at the same time. The surface of his body was covered with a thick layer of scales. Kill! The word kill was spat out like thunder. Lu Ming struck out with his palm, causing the space to tremble. 9 deaths demonic saber. A pitch-black saber appeared in little demon Lord's hand. A sharp saber light burst out. Boom! With a massive explosion, the little demon Lord's body shook, and he staggered backwards. How can his strength be so terrifying? The little demon Lord's face revealed a trace of shock. The last time he fought with Lu Ming did not explode with the power of 5 dragons. Die! Lu Ming took a large step forward. An explosive force blasted out. His palm was like an ancient divine mountain containing boundless strength as it chopped down at the little demon Lord. I don't believe it! The little demon Lord roared. He stretched out his hand and pointed at his chest. Suddenly, a deep roar came from his mouth. Then, the little demon Lord's body began to swell. From his arms and shoulders, malevolent bone spikes protruded out. His aura also soared. Lu Ming, die! Little demon King roared. Like a demonic creature, he strode toward Lu Ming. With a wave of his hand, those bone spurs pierced through the air, emitting a sharp whistling sound as they pierced toward Lu Ming. Bang! Bang! True essence roared within his body, for different concepts lingered around him. Lu Ming used his palm to revolve the suppressing hell-heaven art, constantly bombarding the little demon Lord. The 2 of them were like a monster and a demon. They used a very direct method to constantly bombard each other. The entire area violently shook. The surrounding palaces all heard it. Someone is fighting. Come, let's go take a look. A tall and sturdy youth was exploring a palace. When he heard the commotion, he rushed over to the source of it. There were also others who heard the commotion, but didn't dare to rush over. This was because the commotion was too shocking and far surpassed their strength. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming and the little demon Lord had exchanged several dozen moves. Gradually, the little demon Lord fell into a disadvantage, and Lu Ming gained the upper hand. Pung! Lu Ming's palm struck the little demon Lord's shoulder, breaking the bone spikes and causing a massive wound to appear. The little demon Lord angrily roared. Roar! At this time, there was a loud roar, and a tall and sturdy youth appeared. His eyes were ominous, and he bared his fangs. Brother Jean, let's work together and kill Lu Ming. Seeing this youth, the little demon Lord was overjoyed. Good, that's exactly what I wanted. The tall and sturdy youth revealed a sinister smile. In the next moment, he transformed into a giant tiger and pounced at Lu Ming. This was the powerful genius of the Sky Monster Valley. He possessed 50% of a god beast's bloodline, and his combat strength was incomparably terrifying. Lu Ming, die! The little demon Lord's eyes revealed a sinister light. A hideous creature appeared above his head. This was a demonic creature with a dense demonic aura. It had a wide mouth and sharp fangs, and its entire body was covered in bone spikes. Around the demonic creature, 5 golden chakras shined. This was the little demon Lord's bloodline, a 5th-grade divine, realm bloodline. The little demon Lord turned into a beam of light that fused into his bloodline. he completely transformed into a demonic creature. Demonic aura surged as he charged at Lu Ming. "The ones to die are you," Lu Ming shouted. The 9 dragons' bloodline appeared and turned into 9 dragons. A vast dragon might spread out. The golden tiger was shocked and felt a little scared. The true dragon was the leader of all beasts. There were not many species that could stand shoulder to shoulder with it. Other god beasts would instinctively feel awe when facing the true dragon, let alone the 9 dragons. The golden tiger was shocked. The 9 dragons' claws slashed down and sent the golden tiger flying. Then another claw struck out and clashed with the little demon lord, causing him to stagger back. Roar! At this time, the golden tiger was roused. It roared and pounced at Lu Ming. The 9 dragons' bloodline. This is the legendary 9 dragons. You actually awakened the 9 dragons' bloodline. Hand it over. The golden tiger roared, its eyes full of greed. The 9 dragons were a higher-level existence than the true dragon. If it could deprive Lu Ming of the 9 dragons' bloodline, even if it couldn't use it, it would be able to offer it to the supreme of the Flood Dragon tribe. It would definitely receive an amazing reward. At the same time, the little demon lord also rushed at Lu Ming. 9 dragons trampling the sky. The 9 dragon claws stepped on the void, as though they were the real 9 dragons stepping on the sky, surveying the world and ruling the world. A terrifying dragon might spread out. Under the 9 claws, a vast power exploded. Lu Ming had cultivated the 9 dragons' heaven-trampling steps to the 6th step. It was equivalent to the highest level of upper-grade, half-god level martial arts. However, after transforming into the 9 dragons and executing it, the power was even more terrifying. Boom, boom. 2 shocking sounds rang out. The little demon lord and the golden tiger were sent flying by Lu Ming. Turbulent energy spread out in all directions. However, it was unknown if the palace was set up with an inscription formation or if it was made of special materials, but it was sturdy and indestructible. The powerful energy that could pierce through the earth didn't leave a single mark on it. How can he be so strong? The little demon lord cried out in disbelief. He and the golden tiger were both at the 4th level of spirit embryo realm, 2 whole levels higher than Lu Ming. How was it possible for them to be at a disadvantage even after working together? Kill! The 9 dragons twisted their bodies and pounced at the little demon lord. Boom! With a claw, the little demon lord spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Over a dozen of the malevolent bone spikes on his body were broken. Join hands! Join hands! The little demon lord roared, slightly panicking. He was no match for Lu Ming alone. On the other side, the golden tiger was slightly frightened. However, it still let out an angry roar and pounced at Lu Ming. At this moment, a picture scroll flew out from the heart of the 9 dragons' brows.